Going to call the Planning Commission meeting to order. First, before I even get into anything, I want to mention that we're kind of sad tonight a little bit. We're going to be missing two of our favorite people. Kevin Small is retiring from Town of Bel Air as the director of, and he'll be leaving us. This is his last meeting. Mr. Don Coates here, he's also retiring from the commission. This is his last meeting. And I wish them both well, as long as we all do. And they all been real good. And they definitely looked out for the people of Bel Air, in my opinion. The short time if I got to know them, I've learned a lot from them. So we're going to miss them, but we wish them well in the future. And if they ever want to come back and be commissioners, I'm sure they'd be welcome back.
I'll second that.
With that being said, we'll move right along here. Just wanted to let everybody know, if you didn't already, go ahead and silence your phones. Everything in this room is being recorded. It's on live, YouTube, yeah. So everybody could hear your phones when they go off. So the bathrooms are down the right hall right there, my right, your left. And we're going to start out. Kevin's going to do his last presentation, but I want to make sure everybody knows what the agenda is real quick. I'll give a brief. We're going to talk about the minutes here first, and then we're going to go into new business. We have 4 items on the agenda tonight. One's McPhail Crossing will be the first item. The second one will be Phase 5 for the Hartford Mall location. Then we'll go into the Hartford Mall, Phase 3, Phase 4. That'll be the third item. And the last item of the night will be Phase 2 residential apartment. So before we get any further, the admin duties we got to do. First thing is I'd like to have a motion on last month's agenda.
Mr. Chairman,
Minutes.
before we make a motion, I noticed on page 7, try to even come up with the wording for it. In this, on page 7, third or the last sentence down, starting at, he added that they don't entitlement yet. I was even trying to figure out what that was for. But page, I don't know. I was trying to come up with what we were talking about then, but I don't think entitlement's the word.
I think maybe the words, they don't entitlement yet, so should just be struck. And that would be, he added that they haven't hired a mechanical engineer yet.
That could very well be. I mean, I just don't remember what that was.
They haven't hired an engineer yet.
Any other items?
I had, let's see, on page 5, under architecture, number 2, middle of that second paragraph where it says, based on staff review, the addition does not appear to not meet town. Was that supposed to be, does not appear to meet town? I wasn't sure what the,
Double negative.
whether that wording was correct.
Did you catch that?
Well, I didn't hear what the answer was. What was the,
Not sure.
So they're questioning, based on staff review, the addition does not appear to not meet Town of Bel Air Code, Section 165:30.d.
So it should be.
It's either does not appear or
Does meet.
Does appear
Yeah.
to not meet.
Does appear to not meet. We can take out either not and got it.
Any other comments?
move for approval as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wait a minute. I'm changing that. We're not going to do that no more. Jeff?
Aye.
Pete?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Bill? Aye for me. Thank you. Motion passed. Okay, now we'll move into new business. The first item on the agenda will be the McPhail Crossing. Mr. Small will give a presentation, and then the applicant will also have a moment to come up and give their presentation.
Thank you. The applicant is requesting approval for a 116,863 square foot, one-story shopping center. This is an existing development, and there's no proposed expansion to the current space. For many years, this development existed as 3 uses and did not require any additional review until the former Dick's Sporting Goods establishment was divided into 2 uses. By adding that 4th use, the development is now defined as a shopping center in the town code and would have performance standards related to that specific use. Approval of the shopping center use will also address several non-conformities within the development, which were okay when the shopping center was developed, but are no longer included in the code. One is a directory sign that's on Lot D that provides advertising for all the parcels. This would be considered a billboard on today's code and is prohibited under that code. However, a shopping center allows for advertising by all establishments within the project area. Project area would be the actual shopping center. Property lines that crisscross the site without that 3-foot setback or any buffering would be permitted by a waiver from the Planning Commission. Compact parking spaces, again, there's a couple of shopping centers, if you go to them, you get frustrated and find those compact spaces. They're no longer permitted in the town code, but they were back then. So that was previously permitted and have since been removed from the town code, but they exist there, so you would have to provide a waiver for that. Approval of a shopping center use would enable the accommodation of the new businesses without Planning Commission review, provided these new uses are permitted in the B3 district. Existing street trees and landscape buffer are found along South Atwood Road and West McPhail Road. Section 16559A2 requires a 3-foot setback from a right-of-way and a planting buffer equaling 1 planting unit per 25 feet. This requirement is met by the existing vegetation that's currently at the center. With 576 parking spaces, the parking lot interior tree requirement is 58. 22 existing trees are within the interior of the parking lot, and they have proposed to make up the difference between the requirement and what they have by adding 36 proposed trees equaling that 58 number. And that's shown on the site plan, which I did not bring up. Let's see. Parking is located throughout the site, with the majority located along the western side of the center. Based upon the new designation, parking requirement will be based on a shopping center under 400,000 square feet and equal to 1 space per 250 gross square feet, which the parking currently exceeds by over 100 spaces. So they actually gain an advantage there because the parking requirement is now calculated on the overall instead of per use. So there are a couple of items that I emailed to you and then I provided written documentation to. One is under the recommendation for special development for a shopping center. It would be at the end of the performance standards under guidelines, where you would be providing a waiver of interior landscape buffers, internal property line setbacks, and buildings crossing property lines. That would be granted by the Planning Commission. Then under the site plan, there was an issue that was brought up by a resident of the townhomes that are across Atwood Road. What they were seeing was when they tried to cross the road and then cross onto the shopping center, they didn't have a route that would take them. They had a couple places where they would take them kind of down the drive aisle. So we looked at that, and knowing that number of spaces are much more than are required, we're recommending that you allow them to just stripe 3 parking spaces as no longer parking spaces, stripe those out near the loading dock of the Harbor Freight to allow for pedestrian access from the residences across Atwood. Aside from that, it's just what's written in the staff report regarding conditions of approval.
Kevin, how do we square where they added the, I guess, elevator thing for their stairway there
Uh-huh.
with handicap access? Do we need to have them put a ramp in so that?
No. Handicap access is not required when you have handicap spaces within the shopping center. If somebody wants to go to the shopping center and be able to get access, there are handicap spaces that are out in front.
I'm not talking so much about parking, but the pedestrian aspect of things, with somebody in a wheelchair that is used, in other words, if we're going to stripe out the parking spots, do we need to have them put a ramp or something in so that
No.
somebody with a handicap access with a
The,
wheelchair?
the reason is because there is no requirement to provide handicapped access from the public way. If we did, there would be a lot of development in town that would not meet that requirement. As long as you have a handicap space on site and you are providing an accessible route from that handicap space to the businesses, you're in good shape.
So we don't, so because it's not a public sidewalk.
Well, it eventually reaches a public sidewalk,
I'm
but
just
all,
saying, because the building itself is not a public sidewalk, we don't have to worry about that.
well, even if it was a public sidewalks are not all accessible.
Well, that, right there where you're talking about, though, that does have a ramp that comes down
Right,
from
but
the
I mean,
sidewalk.
the town tries the best we can to be able to accommodate access from the public sidewalk to the development, but that's not always available. That's it for me, yeah.
Oh, okay. Would the applicant like to come up and do their presentation? When you come up, you gotta talk real close to that mic. You gotta give your name, who you represent, and your address.
Sure, is this on?
Is there a light there?
Nope. Okay, thank you. So, I'm Jeff Smith with Kimley Horn. We're at 3904 Boston Street, Suite 202 in Baltimore, Maryland, 21224, and I'm the engineer of record on the site for the applicant. I'm just here to answer any questions you guys may have. Kevin did just a fine job, so we agree with the conditions he's posed on that, and we're okay with everything that's been said.
Anybody got? I have one question. I frequent that shopping center, and I'm very familiar with it. Down where they split Harbor Freight and Upper Chesapeake, that stop sign disappeared, where you stop there, on the grocery side of you're heading towards Harbor Freight.
Yep.
From the grocery store, that stop sign that used to be on the left side there is gone. I don't know what happened to it, but it used to be there.
Okay.
And the crosswalks are, you can't even see the crosswalks anymore. I think they're gonna need to be highlighted, repainted. I would love to see raised walkways myself, but that's not a requirement, but, most people don't like those, but, at a minimum, they should be repainted, you know.
Okay, now you mean the crosswalk from, I'm looking at the site plan, so there's
There's
a.
two of them, or three of them, actually. There's
Right.
one in front of, Harbor Freight and Chesapeake, and then
Yep.
there's two at the
Yep.
grocery store at
So
each
just from
end.
the parking spaces to the sidewalk, restripe the cross lanes.
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
I think we can take care of that.
Mm. That's all I had.
Excuse me, we can't hear you back there,
I wish I could turn that off, by the way, but
Can you hear me now? Okay, I'll talk closer. Thank you.
Kevin, maybe this is a question for you. They list, the plan lists the waivers requested, which doesn't quite jive with what we were just talking about. Does that need to be revised on the plan?
no, it doesn't. I mean, as long as you provide the right kind of waivers, if they want to, what I'll do is I'll reach out to Mr. Smith and make sure that they correct that, but you don't need to put that as part of your conditions.
Okay.
I just had a comment, probably has nothing to do with anything, but on the application, McPhail is misspelled 7 times.
Yes, it was an oversight, I'm sorry.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm already retired.
It's capital M-A-C, capital P-H-A-I-L. It was named after the McPhail family. And
Okay.
there's up in,
I'll bring that up.
near the elementary school, what do they call it, McPhail Crossing?
Hmm?
And they have that
Okay.
misspelled there too, but, so if we move any further and we're typing out McPhail,
Right,
It's a capital.
I appreciate that. I have to jokingly say, engineers are terrible spellers, so we'll get that correct.
Mr. Chair, I had a couple things.
Yes, go ahead,
Um,
Liz.
So, under the code, the property is now a shopping center use, which is subject to a development agreement between the property owners, McPhail Crossing LLC, and the Frankel Properties. I didn't notice any note. Maybe I missed it on the plan. So it should be on the plan. I did want to advise the Planning Commission that Frankel Properties has already executed the development agreement. This property is subject to a post-development agreement to permit Harbor Freight a temporary UNO. And I've been in contact with McPhail Crossings Council Record, Mr. Greenberg, who is here. And we will work together to provide all legal documentation to allow Harbor Freight to go for a final UNO. They have done everything pursuant to what the Department of Public Works wants. So I would just ask that they cooperate with all legal documentation to complete this matter. But they've been very cooperative. So,
Do we also need to have, now that it's a shopping center, to have everybody tie in? If somebody's out of compliance, they're all out of compliance? Or is that
That's under the
just-
development agreement.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's covered under the development agreement.
So we need to add that condition?
Yeah, I think it's in there, isn't it?
I thought it was.
Yeah. Oh, maybe you didn't put it in there.
I can't see it.
And while we're all looking for that, I had one other item I just noted in the conditions. One of them is security. It says center management is responsible for providing on-site security service. Does that shopping center have a security service, or are they going to?
I'm not sure off the top of my head. I would think it would not. There may be someone that rides by occasionally, but they don't have anyone on site permanently. I can definitely find that out. I mean, I don't think that's any kind of condition for approvals, but that is kind of unusual that it's pointed out there.
It's going to be in the recommendations. Am I correct on that, Kevin?
Yes. It's part of the findings of fact that you'll make.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from the staff? Sir, do you have any more you want to add?
No, sir, thank you. No, not at all.
Well, I appreciate it. Now, this is the time we open up the mic to any citizens or anybody in the audience that wants to speak, ask any questions of us or about this project. We good? Okay. Can I have a motion?
Okay, I first move that the Planning Commission notes that the proposed use meets the provisions of the 2022 Comprehensive Plan as required by Town Code Section 165-19. We need a second. We need to do that first.
Okay, we got a second motion. Roll call. Jeff?
Aye.
Pete?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
Aye from myself.
Now, I move that we, under the special development for a shopping center use, the special development for shopping center use is based upon the following findings of fact: that the applicant has adequately demonstrated the proposed shopping center use. A, the project provides a unified arrangement of buildings, services, service areas, parking, and landscaped areas. B, the project is designed with regard to the topography and other natural features. C, materials, massing, and facade design for the project are harmonious with the character of the neighborhood. D, the internal circulation system is designed to minimize through traffic and traffic conflicts within the project. E, safe pedestrian movement and the provision of pedestrian walks within the parking lot and surrounding the building perimeter is considered. F, all establishments have vehicular service access either from an individual service drive or from a common service yard. G, all such service areas, loading, trash removal, compaction, or other similar activities are segregated from public areas and screened from public view. H, any part of a lot not used for buildings or other structures or paved for off-street parking, loading and maneuvering areas, drives and pedestrian walks, or incidental storage are landscaped and properly maintained. I, all parking lots, loading areas and outdoor storage areas are separated with buffer yards of at least 10 feet from any adjacent residential district. Parking is adequate for peak demand for the existing and proposed use at this time. J, signs to identify the use of an occupant are designed as part of the architectural design of the building and attached thereto. Proposed signage is submitted with a preliminary plan and is subject to review and the approval by the Planning Commission. K, directional informational signs are adequately provided and design coordinated. L, center management is responsible for providing on-site security service. M, a traffic and parking study was not required because no additional commercial space is proposed. N, vehicular access to the subject property is not by means of any street internal to a subdivision for single-family dwellings. Guidelines, we're still under the special development. A, waiver of interior landscape buffers, internal property line setbacks, and buildings crossing property lines is granted by the Planning Commission.
Do we need to add the agreement to that as one of the conditions?
Yeah, I think I'd left that out because it had already been signed, but we can put it in if you'd like,
Would that go here or under the site plan?
I think that it's.
here.
My recollection is Franklin property signed, but not McPhail Crossing yet.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
then,
So that's under, they did acknowledge it in their application that they filed, that they would provide the development agreement for the town. So for the approval, in the application, it would be letter H in their justification. The owners of all lots shall execute a recorded development agreement. Phil?
H?
In your application? You want me to say it, I'll say it.
Yeah, go ahead.
The owners of all lots shall execute a recorded development agreement with the town, providing that all owners acknowledge and agree to be bound by these performance standards as an overall scheme of development, outlining all shared elements, granting reciprocal easements to permit each owner to access any other owner's lot or parcel of land for the purposes of compliance with the Town of Bel Air Code, and for either remediating any zoning violation or to comply with the town code for the purposes of any approvals sought by any of the owners of the lot, and agreeing that the town shall permit enforcement of any portion of the town code upon one or more owners of any lot or parcel of land contained within the shopping center scheme of development. What she said, right?
So amended. This is a lot when we're, really all we're doing is subdividing the old Dick's Sporting Goods and turning the place into a shopping center.
yeah.
And with less parking requirement, even though they have way more parking than they need.
I'll second
Oh,
the
that's under
motion.
site plan.
Okay, I got a second. Okay, roll call. Jeff?
Aye.
Pete?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
Jimmy? Aye for me.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the site plan as conditioned on the following. One, prior to the final use and occupancy submission of a final site plan for signature, incorporating comments from this staff and the following comments. Minor drafting changes to correct errors on the development plan. B, strike 3 parking spaces near the loading dock of Harbor Freight to allow for pedestrian access from residences across the street or across Atwood. And C, repaint the crosswalks in front of Harbor Freight and Upper Chesapeake Primary Care and the 2 in front of Weiss.
Second.
Roll call, Jeff,
Aye.
Pete,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Phil,
Aye.
aye for Jimmy.
Mr. Chairman, move on the landscape plan, at a minimum, approval of the landscape plan is conditioned on the following: submission of a final landscape plan for signature, which may be incorporated into the final site plan, and installation of all proposed landscape.
Second.
Second.
Okay, roll call, Jeff.
Aye.
Aye.
Pete, Don,
Aye.
Phil,
Aye.
Jimmy, it's an aye. Pass. Congratulations, folks.
Your shopping center.
You can build your shopping center now. Okay. Second item on the agenda is Phase 5, the credit union with the drive-through. And Mr. Small will do a presentation, and the applicant can follow up with their presentation.
Okay, thank you. All right, and if anybody has any questions about, I go straight to the analysis. If there's anything you have a question about prior to that, just let me know. The applicant's requesting site plan and landscape plan approval to construct a 2,725 square foot bank. And it's a credit union, but it's in our zoning code, that's the same as a bank. Within the project area of Hartford Mall. This will be the 5th phase of redevelopment for the mall. Drive-through service is proposed as part of the bank use, which is a special development, and requires adherence to performance standards found in Article 7. This submission is also a modification of the existing mixed-use center, which must address the special development performance standards. The proposed project is reviewed in aggregate, so all parcels and buildings within Hartford Mall project area must meet the criteria for the mixed-use center. Annotated performance standards for mixed-use center are attached, and that's attached with the application. And along with the criteria of the drive-through use. The first 4 phases are approved and are not subject to any amendment or revision. The existing mall project area is described as I previously described, encompasses several buildings, including the shops at Hartford Mall near Tollgate Road, former Macy's furniture store, and the mall itself. The current building area of the Hartford Mall is 496,337 square feet. Commercial use, the Phase 2 will add 249 multi-family dwelling units. Phase 3 will propose demolition of the Macy's building, which and the addition of 82,924 square feet. This all results in a total of 407,033 square feet. And Kate, you can correct me if I'm messing up any of my numbers here. Phase 4 added 11,633 square feet, totaling 418,000 square feet. The proposed Phase 5 adds 725,000 square feet, so the total after Phase 5, assuming all this stuff is built as designed, is 421,421 square feet. Code requires minimum 50% of the total development area must be commercial space. This space is utilized the previously approved multifamily use at 264,120 square feet. When interior mall corridor spaces are removed, which is 39,485, the proposed development will result in 381,936 square feet of commercial space, which provides for a minimum of 59% commercial space. The interior mall space is considered abandoned, so, is removed from the total commercial space required for parking. But that is the only portion that can be removed from the total commercial space, or from the parking calculation. That's not removed from the total commercial space. The space applied to a parking calculation is 347,629 square feet. Parking is located throughout the project and is calculated at 3.5 spaces per thousand. If you note that the McPhail Crossing was four spaces per thousand. So the bigger you get in the town of Bel Air, the less parking is required because you're sharing more spaces between uses. Let's see. This means that 1,270 spaces are required for 347,629 square feet. They have provided 1,281, so they're exceeding the requirement by 64 spaces. Handicap spaces must meet ADA requirements. However, there are some spaces that are shown kind of right in the, and I still have the old one shown here, don't I? Sorry about that. Let's see.
It's really hard to make out the lines because they're all crisscrossing.
What, on the site plan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So regarding those handicap spaces, they're shown in this area. And really, they don't feed into anything.
Those were for the old Sears building, weren't they?
Those were the old Sears building.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just not feasible anymore because they're not, handicap spaces must be the closest spaces to the access to the building. So we're recommending that those be converted to regular spaces. They don't need them in the overall center, so they're really not required anyway. The applicant appears to have addressed internal pedestrian connections required by the special development criteria by creating internal parking lot sidewalks to the center and to the public sidewalks. That's kind of these areas right here. There are several signs indicating towing areas. These specific spaces should be noted on the plan and be addressed at the hearing, meaning what spaces are towing spaces? What areas are being designated as towing? No refuse recycling enclosure is identified and may be absent due to the nature of the use. When we say the nature of the use, your financial use, they may not be able to have recycling or refuse because all of that has to be hauled off by a special hauler that would be either stored internally or whatever, but they need to address that. It's also recommended the additional traffic direction arrows be provided on the plan just to help out to know where things are going. One of the issues that I had was if you see these two signs here, they're both noted. I have to get closer. They're both noted as proposed directional signage, which say do not enter. That means I can't go in this way, and I have to circle back around and go through the drive-through. So if I go through the drive-through, it just, why not make this two-way? So that's a question I'm asking the applicant.
Yeah, and on the side of the drive-through, it don't really give a directional there either, so you don't know if it's two-way or one-way.
You're talking about up top?
At the top, yeah,
Here?
right there, yeah.
Yeah, this is a little deceiving because this is not a drive-through lane. They're showing cars on it, but really, it was kind of misleading. This is just the pass-by lane. So it should be, I would assume, directional this way. So that's what needs to be clarified tonight. Let's see, nature traffic directions. The parking numbers shown on the plan do not appear to match the graphics. I have 8 spaces and there's more than that. 14 spaces and there's less than that. So those need to get corrected. I counted them all up and they're fine, but the notation needs to be corrected. I'm not going to go through previous approvals unless you want me to. The applicant has submitted a landscape plan. Maybe a little less than that. There are 168 parking spaces in this kind of project area that we're referring to, which requires 17 interior trees. They provided 15, but there is a markup that I provided to them regarding what they might be able to do about that. Development area is road frontage for 480 linear feet, which requires 12 street trees. They provided 12. A buffer associated with the parking abutting the right-of-way is 460 linear feet, which requires 18.4 planting units, which equals 184 shrubs. In an effort to make the proposed landscape be in harmony with the design of the overall center, what we're proposing is adding additional landscape as shown. Thought I had it. I don't see that. I know what I'll end up doing.
Kevin, I have it in the presentation. I can pull it up here if you want.
I think I can find it in my staff report.
Okay.
So I think I put it in my staff report and didn't bother separately copying it. And I know you guys are going to go over it, so I'm just taking up your time. I want you to be here all night.
You ain't going nowhere.
There we go. What I'm proposing is they add additional interior street trees. They don't need as many shrub buffering is what the code requires to be able to adequately buffer the parking lot. So I'm suggesting that they kind of make up for that with the interior parking lot trees. So that's something they would have to agree to, and you would have to agree to if you felt that that was appropriate. Let's see. The design and species of the parking buffer along Tollgate Road should mirror the design on the opposite side. So what we're saying is that there's a particular landscape design on what would be the south side of that access. Try to mirror the same thing on what's already been done on the north side so that it looks like it's coordinated. The perimeter parking spaces south of the proposed building must have an additional landscape island. This exceeds 20 spaces. And you can't have, the number of spaces can't be more than 20 without an intervening island. So they just have to add an island in there, which they got more than enough parking that they could lose a parking space. It's also recommended additional trees be added north of the drive-through. That is this area right here. And I'm talking about whether than adding or just adding shade trees rather than what appears to be ornamental trees. Since a generator is shown, which is right here, they're showing a buffering along there. And I'm sure what they're trying to do is to not show shrubs around it because they don't know where they have to get access to it. But if they can show the shrubs, they can easily make an adjustment out in the field. Neither landscape nor site plan shows proposed area lighting, so I just need to get an answer as to whether they're proposing new lighting. And if they do, they need to show that on the final plan. Lighting isn't an issue here because they're not near residential. So they just can't exceed a certain height, which is 25 feet.
I'm sure he'll address that in the presentation,
Right.
but one of the light poles is right in the middle where the building's
Yes.
gonna be, so.
I think they're all
They'll
existing
have
that
to
I assume they're gonna
change lighting.
remove, so I'm just not sure. Architecture, the applicants provided color elevation and renderings of the architecture for the proposed buildings. Comments from the architectural consultant are attached. The proposed building appears to be consistent with the rest of the center. Do be advised that any significant change will require a new review by the planning commission. The applicant should be prepared to address how the facade treatment is consistent with the rest of the center. No new freestandings or signage are proposed, so we're just using what was submitted with the last phase. Traffic impact analysis is required by the town in coordination with the county and state. The required study must be submitted and approved prior to issuance of a building permit for this phase. The business US 1 and Maryland Route 22 multimodal corridor study will be considered when reviewing the traffic study. Mixed-use centers, again, special development. Architecture must be in harmony with the rest of the center. Internal vehicle and pedestrian traffic must be designed to minimize conflicts and to mitigate potential impact to patrons and residents. Security, loading, unloading, recycling, all must be organized together and coordinated with the town. And again, they've done a relatively good job through this process of coordinating those kind of issues. Drive-through service requires 7 spaces for queuing vehicles, and we normally require that to be in one lane. But it's understandable that banking uses don't really, I mean, they're not a big drive-through user anymore. Everybody does stuff online. So I'm not sure it, requiring 7 stacking spaces makes sense. Also, they make up for the fact that they don't have 7 stacking spaces in a single lane because they're doing multiple lanes. So that's something that you need to take into account when you're reviewing it. I don't have, master plan is also included, but there's no real change from what you saw back in phase 4. If you have any questions, otherwise, I'll turn it over to the applicant.
Good evening, everybody. Oh, yeah, thank you.
Hold on, I'll get you.
We got another set.
You can walk around. Give me one.
We'll see the same thing on the screen, but.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
You need one, right?
All right, good evening, everybody. It's good to see everyone again. As a reminder, I'm Chris Mudd with Venable LLP. My business address is 210 West Pennsylvania Avenue, Suite 500 in Towson. It's good to be back before the Planning Commission tonight for Phase 5 of the Hartford Mall redevelopment. I sure hope you all are starting to feel the continued momentum here. We weren't here too long ago on Phase 4, and we're here for a slight tweak later on Phase 2, so things are really moving along, and you're going to see activity on the ground quite soon. And we're hopeful tonight that you'll approve Phase 5. I'm here on Phase 5 on behalf of Point Breeze Credit Union, and I just want to introduce a few people who are here tonight with me. Ms. Tanya Niedzielkowski is the president of Point Breeze. She's here tonight. Kevin Contardi, who's a consultant for Point Breeze, is here with me. From Frederick Warden Associates, they're the civil engineer of record. We have Kate Pierce and Tom Miner and Tori Pierce. And then GTM is the architecture firm. Rick Conrath and Katie Sheridan are here from the architecture firm. As usual, Mr. Small did a great job going over the project, and I want to go over a few things with you. I'm going to try and make it quick, but we do want to hit a couple points. Certainly want to answer some of the questions in the staff report, and then want to go over a few things. So I'm going to bounce around a little bit. These things are not in the order that I'm going to present them, which I didn't really decide until today, so I'm sorry about that. But I'm going to take you to the back of the presentation just to orient everybody. So first of all, in general, the theme of this package might look similar. We were able to get permission from SJC, which is the developer of Phase 3 and Phase 4, you may remember. We received permission from them to use the materials and build upon the materials they used throughout their presentation. We thought it would be helpful for your purposes in orienting yourselves, or reorienting yourselves. So this, for everyone, you may look familiar. This is the phasing plan that we did, and the background to the phasing plan is the master plan, as we called it. When we were getting Phase 3 approved, I think actually when Phase 2 was approved, in Phase 1, we still showed the mall in the middle. And for this purpose, and for the purpose of the master plan, we were showing what the future could look like of where the mall building would be. As a reminder again, the future portion here is not in for approval. It's meant to show what it's anticipated is going to be there, and eventually we will be back for approvals on that as well. And I also should note that we're here tonight on Phase 5, which when we were here on Phase 4 and Phase 3 was shown in purple as part of the future. So we're bringing some of the future forward here tonight. So we're here tonight on Phase 5, which is down here at the corner of Tollgate and Baltimore National Pike. And I'll remove the phasing, but this is to give you a clearer picture of what the overall mixed-use center would look like. As a reminder, we have the residential component here, Phase 3, which is approved with the Whole Foods, major tenant A at the top, and then Phase 4 at the corner with the 2 pad sites. That was the most recent phase that we had approved, and now we're again here tonight for the credit union building down here. So we wanted to show this just to show you how this fits into the overall mixed-use center. And Mr. Small mentioned during his presentation that we were building upon the pedestrian connectivity that we brought before you for Phase 3. And again, you kind of have to, I won't say ignore, but the blue lines in the middle here, these are meant to, all the blue lines are meant to show pedestrian connections. And the blue lines in the middle are where we think, based on the design you see here, but the point is meant to show that pedestrians can easily make their way through the entire center if they'd like to, including down here in Phase 5, where we're bringing in people from the exterior sidewalks, and they can get right into the credit union and then make their way into where the future phase will be at the mall. But we wanted to demonstrate, it's one of the requirements for the special development approval for the mixed use, that we demonstrate the pedestrian connectivity. I'm not going to go through these, but in the back of your packets, we had the performance standards for the mixed-use center, as well as performance standards at the end for drive-throughs. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. So I'm going to go back, and I think maybe I'll go here, which is the architecture. So this before you is the architectural package that was put together by GTM, the architects. In the staff report, you will note that the town's architect reviewed these renderings and determined, or elevations, I should say, and determined that that these were in keeping with the design and general feel of the rest of the mixed-use center, and recommend, as well as being compliant with the mixed-use development performance standards. And so these are the images of all of the various vantage points for the credit union. And again, the architect, the county's architect, has recommended approval of this design and this plan. Making our way back into the site plan. And I think maybe the best way to carry forward the presentation from here is to address some of the things that Mr. Small mentioned in the staff report as things that we needed to address tonight, and we're prepared to do that. So I'm on page 6 of the staff report, and the first thing we want to point out is the fact that there were what you're looking at now on the screen is a red line version of the site plan. So the site plan as submitted is the first sheet of the package in front of you. The red line site plan is the next sheet after that. And the red lines are meant to be reflective and responsive to the comments from Mr. Small. So the first comment was related to signs indicating proposed towing areas. So if you look real closely at the plan in front of you, there are little signs that appear in certain spots that talk about proposed signage for towing areas. And the point of the lines here, it's coded in the upper right-hand corner, but the purpose is to show parking that is within the lease area for the credit union, which are the dashed red lines, and then parking that is also within the lease area, but specifically dedicated to credit union use only in these sort of red leopard print hatched areas. And we did this to show that while there's other parking that's shown in plan view here, the parking spaces that would be subject to the towing signage that was mentioned are only the spaces that you see here. So as we make our way into final site plan with Mr. Small, we obviously show it in red, and we can keep the hatching, or we can find another way in which to indicate that these are the spaces and the purpose for the towing signage that was proposed. The second comment related to there being no refuse or recycling enclosure identified. You may remember when we were here on phase 3 and 4, we had a lot of discussion about where big dumpsters would be. We worked to screen some of them. We worked to put some of them behind buildings. And for the credit union, as you may imagine, with a user that's not food intensive, you have a bathroom or maybe 2 bathrooms, and then you have some folks at their desks that have some trash. It's actually the cleaning staff that every night will just come and take that trash out and take that with them and leave the space. So there's no need for a dumpster here, and that's why we don't show one. The next comment was related to the two-way circulation. So we added some red arrows here to indicate how circulation will occur around the site. And as Mr. Small mentioned at the very top, there were, in the original version of the plan, there were spaces that were shown there, which admittedly was a little confusing, and so we've removed those to indicate that there is a bypass lane. And all the traffic is one-way only in this direction. You can see that with the arrows. And in here, it would be two-way, but not to go back through there. So these signs would actually, the signs that Mr. Small was talking about, would prevent somebody from going in that direction, because all traffic, particularly with the drive-through, would be coming around in this direction. But we did add arrows to try and make it clearer for people, for everybody viewing. And those arrows, I think, would we install the arrows in the field as well? Like on the asphalt?
Yes.
Yeah. So not only would they just show in plan view, but we would have arrows in the parking lot as well. The next comment I'll draw your attention to is in the landscape section. This is on page 7, landscape section of the staff comments. Mr. Small indicated that there was additional landscaping that was required, and we have Exhibit A that was attached to his staff report in our presentation here. And while we don't have a marked up version of the landscape plan for you tonight, as staff indicated and as is customary, Frederick Ward & Associates will continue to work with staff to address his comments. We are here to tell you that we have absolutely no objection and can deliver on everything that he's requesting in Exhibit A. And we'll work with Mr. Small as we make our way, or Mr. Small's successor.
Yeah, how
as we
fast
make
can
our
you do
way-
that?
As we make our way to the finish line with the final landscape plan. The next point I'll address just very quickly is the traffic. As indicated, a traffic impact analysis is required. We frankly weren't sure whether one was going to be required, and we didn't find out until very late in the process that it would be, the process on our way to here tonight. But we already have signed up the same traffic engineer who has done all the traffic studies for the rest of the mall property and the other phases. And so he's very familiar with it and is already working on a submission that will be, as indicated, will be completed and must be approved prior to building permit.
I will interject that that's really the town's fault that they did not get an answer back from us in time, because our traffic consultant was taking their time getting an answer to us, and then we couldn't get back to the applicant in time.
Thank you for that. Next comment we wanted to address on the top of page 9 of the staff report. This relates to the drive-through lanes. As Mr. Small indicated, the ordinance calls for 7 lanes, and it calls for 7 lanes in a row. But the ordinance, from our perspective, and I think Mr. Small's as well, is that that's envisioning and anticipating where you have one window and one line. And we don't have that here. So the way that this is going to function, back to our plan, I'll go back to the red line plan, is, again, bypass lane at the top, The next lane under it is one of the lanes where you can, with the machine, work with a teller who would be behind the window. So you would be sending your checks and cash up through a tube and back and forth. Same thing in the next lane inside of that one, the middle lane. And then the lane closest to the building is ATM only. I think there's no window there in that middle, in the lane, is that correct? Okay. So all bank transactions would be done in the two middle lanes. And as you can see, there's actually 8 total spaces over those 2 lanes. And so we think that's adequate, and we would ask, as the Planning Commission, we hope approves this proposal tonight, that you specifically approve the alteration or modification to that drive-through lane requirement in the ordinance.
Can you clarify that? Because to me, it looks like there's 12 spaces, 4 times 3.
Right, so, well, it's a good point. I was indicating that there are 8 spaces that are dealing directly with
A teller?
a teller.
Okay.
Correct. And then the remaining 4 spaces that are shown there are for ATM.
Gotcha.
In fairness, there could be other credit unions or banks.
I go straight to the ATM, that's
Well,
why.
right, and well, there could be other ones where there's only 1 lane, but all of it's done there. So you have a window and an ATM, and you only have 7 spaces required under the ordinance. So to your point, we have 12 total, and we have 8 total for interacting with the teller.
But based on the design, you have 2 ATMs, correct?
One ATM.
One ATM
One
there.
ATM, 2 windows essentially to
No,
deal
but
with.
you have 1 ATM there, but you also have 1 ATM on the building in the front. A walk-up.
Yes, correct, yes,
Okay.
yes. The next comment, we kind of addressed this already. I'm on page 10 of the report, comment 5 and 6. We talked about, it's actually 6 really, we talked about the revisions to the plan. And these parking spaces, Mr. Small is correct, they're currently handicapped spaces and they do not need to be handicapped spaces anymore. Again, for purposes of the credit union, the only spaces that are really applicable and within our lease area are the ones that you see colored on this plan. So that's what this plan was meant to reflect. Next comment, I'm almost getting there. Last comment, actually, is nope, I've already hit that one. The last one I had was the vehicle stacking. So I think that I may have hit everything that we wanted to hit. We certainly can answer any questions. Before I do that, Ms. Nietzelkowski from Point Breeze just said that she would like to come up and introduce herself, so I'm going to invite her up to do so. Come on up. Just you can say your name and what your address for the record.
So good evening. My name is Tanya Nietzelkowski, and I am the president and CEO for Point Breeze Credit Union. We're located at 11350 McCormick Road in Hunt Valley, Maryland. Thank you all for reviewing our plan. Appreciate that. So a little bit about Point Breeze. We are a not-for-profit financial institution. We're local. We've been around for 90 years. We started off in the, we were a credit union, and if you don't know anything about a credit union, we are a financial institution. We're offering banking products and services, but as a credit union, we are a cooperative, meaning we're owned by our members, and our customers, we call them members, because they do join us. So we were originally, Point Breeze was originally established as the credit union for Western Electric, and we were located down near Baltimore City in the Point Breeze area, and that is how we received our name. We were originally established for the employees of Western Electric to give them a place to save and borrow safely. And since we were originally chartered in 1935, and not too long after the Great Depression, that's why we were established to help those employees to serve them for their banking needs. We've changed a lot in those 90 years. Now we are about 67,000 members strong. We are $970 million in assets. So we've grown a lot from, we started, when we were in that Western Electric branch, was a desk and 1 or 2 employees. And we were serving 500 employees of Western Electric, and now we serve 67,000 members. Our membership has changed. Our purpose hasn't changed, and our mission hasn't changed. We're still here to serve our members. We're still offering, safe place for them to save and borrow. But how we've changed is now to join Point Breeze, you can work, worship, or belong to a group or volunteer within a 20-mile radius of one of our offices. So that's now how you would, be able to join our credit union. So it's a little bit about Point Breeze. And again, wanted to thank all of you for your review and for looking at our plan. Thank you so much.
Are you located in Bel Air at the present time or not?
Yes, we are.
Where, I know I've been by in Senior Center, I can't remember where, over by Target?
Yes.
510
Yeah,
Chinese.
okay.
We're on Atwood Road, yes.
Got it, got it.
Mhm.
And you'll be closing that facility?
Yeah, we're looking to transition to this when our lease is expired, yes. All right, thank you.
Thank you. So that's our presentation. We certainly hope that you all would see fit to approve Phase 5 tonight, and Point Breeze is anxious to continue serving the fine folks of Bel Air. Thank you. Can answer questions, of course.
You can stay up there.
Yes,
I
sir.
got some questions for you. I saw on the generator pretty much, I guess you're gonna screen it pretty much like you screened the one over here, at your
Yes.
other location.
Yes, and I think Mr. Small's right. Some of those details, I mean, as you'll learn when we come to talk about Phase 2, things happen as you make your way towards the finish line. And I'm not saying that this is the type of thing that we would have to come back for, but we just don't have the level of detail at this point to know exactly what it'll look like.
But
we'll
it will
work
be
with staff.
screened.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
One of the questions got answered when you hand me this. I didn't see HVAC on there, but I see that it's on this.
Yes,
So that answered that question.
on the roof.
This might be a question for Kevin or yourself, since you've been involved in all the other phases. I don't remember Bel Air Fire Department saying they had to have a Knox box on any of the other buildings.
We reached out to Bel Air Fire Department because they were not responding to our plans when we would send them to them. Typically, they would only respond when they had residential uses. What they provided us was a kind of a general comment that said, and it's not what you see in your package, but it's basically anytime they have any kind of development in town that's new, they want to see a Knox box there. So every single one from now on will be required, and that will need to be part of Phase 3, Phase 4. That's just what and they typically review that at the building permit stage, and it's to the applicant's advantage to have a Knox box, unless they want their place to burn down.
I'm real familiar with them. I work with Fire Marshal in Baltimore City on those. And that's the first time I've seen it in Hartford County, to be honest with you.
Yeah, this is something that I think has just been recently kind of corrected in the communication between ourselves and Bel Air Volunteer Fire Company.
Okay, and the other question is, I saw, and it might be for both of you again, Health Department, it said that the sewer, water and sewer be under Hartford County, water and sewer. And then I saw you had an E1 on the drawing, environmental 1 grinder pump, and it says private. So is that a misprint, or I would think you got a
believe it's-
gravity
it's
feed
correct.
there.
I actually spoke to our DPW, and if you want to have.
Tom Miner, Frederick Ward Associates, 5 South Main Street. So right now the building is on, it's a parcel with everything else. So it's being serviced by a private pump, and then it's being injected to the private force main, or private gravity line that's just to the right of, I don't have the height.
So there's no way you can do gravity there, it's gonna have to be
No, we
E1.
really can't. You'd
Okay.
be running hundreds and hundreds of feet of gravity line for just a small building like that. The pump is just a standard E1,
Yeah.
like you'd use in most residential settings. They're very dependable. And then it goes to the gravity main that's just off the screen there.
Now, being private, your folks will maintain it then?
Correct.
And it's going in the town of Bel Air sewer, isn't it? What goes to Hartford County, it don't matter.
I believe so.
Yes.
Yep. And probably go down to Tollgate Station there.
I actually talked to our DPW, and they informed me about that E1 pump, and I couldn't, because I wanted to put a tree there, so I can't do that.
Sorry.
Well, that's gonna be my next point. I'm real familiar with your E1s. I maintain over 400 and some in the county already in my past career, but the biggest thing that comes up even with homeowners, the E1, you know, they got a green lead, everybody don't like to see them. Is that gonna be screened as well? It's a problem if you do screen it for the people that have to maintain it, but usually there's,
So.
people are creative with that, but.
So what I've done in the past for those, if it is a concern, honestly, I wasn't really thinking too much about the green lid just because it's kind of the point you put there. Couple different options is you can swap out the lid and you can put just a standard concrete type lid on top if you're in a concrete setting, if you need it to be traffic bearing or something like that. There's a couple different ways you can kind of do that. But yeah, screening, it's not a problem if that's a concern. Or not even screening it, but turning the lid into something that's not noticeable.
Statue.
Yeah. Kevin Small Memorial statue right there, yeah.
Yes.
That's pretty much all
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have. Anybody else? got
No one's that
This
interested,
will-
usually need one pump, so.
Will this
that's
eliminate
nice.
the, your seasonal snow cone tenant down in that corner? Will
Oh,
be
yeah.
gone?
Sharon's, ain't it
John,
Sharon?
yes.
Al-
Yes.
Aldo's will be gone?
Yes.
Yeah. These things happen. Maybe we'll get it, maybe we'll get another season out of it, maybe not.
Yep, right.
And maybe the produce stand up in the upper side of that corner will survive a little longer. but
Yeah.
Their days are numbered. They've been good additions. In fact, there's probably been times that snow cone stand generated as much traffic as this credit union will as far as,
Oh, yeah.
far as the traffic counts.
Right.
And there's no problem putting an island down there at the bottom for the parking, correct? Breaking that up 20 feet, okay.
And security of the
Yeah.
whole mall, that's all going to be incorporated into that property as well?
We talked about that tonight, yes. So during the day, there's actually private security in, at the credit union. But at nighttime, they would coordinate with the rest of the mall and coordinate with the police, as we've been doing throughout. You know, at the moment, there's nothing to patrol, but when the things start to come out of the ground, then we'll start talking with the police about how to do that properly.
I had a question about the glass.
Mhm.
Is it going to be clear
Yes.
throughout?
It's not, so and if anybody wants to address it directly, you can, but the way I would say it is, there are prohibitions in the ordinance for the reflectiveness of it, and we will be compliant with the ordinance, so there's gonna be no reflective glass.
And no tinted glass?
Tinted, or is it gonna be all clear? Oh, you have it. That's right.
There you go, Pete. Damn. They know about you, Pete.
There's a sample.
No, I was just curious. I know that the Point Breeze now for Atwood, I think the doors, the glass is tinted, and there's some clear glass and some tinted glass. That's why I asked the question.
Sure. So is this gonna be consistent throughout?
Yes, there are some that will be.
Why don't you come on up?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on up.
Name and
Sorry.
address.
I thought I'd spare you.
Hi,
Introduce yourself, please.
Katie Sheridan, GTM Architects, and we're at 7250 Woodmont Avenue in Bethesda. There are some glass portions. Can I get to the elevations?
Sure.
Yeah. Like the ones you see above the door that are actually going to be above the ceiling, so those will be a spandrel panel, but everything at pedestrian level will be clear.
Including the doors, the
Yes.
doorways? Mhm,
They
okay.
will all be that glass. Yep.
I had a quick question. Chris, with respect to the reserved parking and the tow signage, there indicates on the plan that there's some parking spots that are reserved specifically for Point Breeze, and then there's others that are listed within the quote-unquote lease area, but
Right.
not specific to Point Breeze. But those areas have tow-away signage, so can you just clarify that?
Sure. So, and I may need more help from my friends over here, but
Okay.
I think that Point Breeze controls all of those parking spaces. The ones that would be for Point Breeze only would be signed that way, and
Okay.
they would have the right to tow for that reason. I think they would have the right to tow for other reasons in the other locations, but not just because it's somebody from, not from Point Breeze. Follow me? So if there's another
Yeah.
reason why, if someone's there for multiple days, like, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
As long
this
as they're okay from the concept of shared parking as an
Right.
element.
This is something we have to discuss.
Okay.
The shopping center concept or mixed-use center concept allows reduced parking because the idea is that everybody shares the parking. And it's fine to have tow-away zones and so, and parking that is specific to particular uses. And in fact, what I'm saying, if you go to Main Street Center, which is considered a shopping center, they have all over the place parking that is specific to a particular establishment. So it's difficult to enforce that when, you know, that establishment needs to survive and they need to have patrons have the parking clear in front of their stores for that purpose. I just think that one of the things we may want to keep track of is if there are any spaces that are reserved purely for a use, then that may be something that gets subtracted from the overall parking requirements. I think it's something it's not specifically outlined in our code anywhere. So I kind of hesitate to put it on these folks just because they're showing the tow away, but they're all over the place. And
Okay.
that's because the different businesses are demanding that because they want to keep the spaces in front for them, for their business only. So it's a difficult decision, you know, but it is something where we do need to, I think the town needs to act upon that at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the, you know, the need for, you know, they're specifically designed right in front of their building. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But they're taking up the entire corner,
Right.
all the way from Baltimore Pike up through Tollgate. So that kind of,
It does,
Yeah.
however, I don't know anybody else who's going to be wanting to park there.
true, right now, right? Because they're still working.
Because the
on it.
snow cone people are going
I'll-
away.
I'll actually give you an example of where I've seen this applied that might make some sense here. So in Towson, when the mall was redeveloped there, they had a bunch of restaurants that were facing out on Delaney Valley Road, and there's a shopping center across the street. The parking for that mall and for those restaurants was not very convenient because it was inside the garage that was in the mall. People would routinely park in the shopping center across the street, walk across Delaney Valley Road and go to the restaurant. And the owner there did not like that, and rightfully so wanted to enforce the people from using his parking for another use. And that same thing could happen here along the edge of this center, in that folks, and again, this may not be a great example because for the same type of use, but the idea of this being along the edge could cause people to come park there for park and ride purposes, right? Let's meet at the bank, and every day someone sees the same car, excuse me, the credit union. Everyone sees the same car come in, and, you know, this is their meetup place every morning for their commute. That's the type of thing that I think they'd want to enforce against. It's not about enforcing someone who might be up in phase 3 from parking down here because they're not at the credit union. It's more about being able to enforce people who don't belong at the mixed-use center at all.
I understand that, and also, you know, I'm thinking, you know, we would hope, with your clients, that this goes crazy, right?
Yeah.
The public loves it. So if the bank is closed and there's an event in the future section at, you know, 8 o'clock at night, and people are parking along that edge, why should they be towed when they're not interfering
Sure.
with Point Breeze? Does that make sense?
Sure.
So,
What,
There are some that are actually along
Yeah,
the other
it's-
end.
one of the questions I would have is, would the towing be enforced during off hours?
and that was, I mean, if they sign it, we had this conversation today.
I know,
about-
we did.
but just behind my building. If it's signed,
There we go.
right, then I understand it from the chief of police at Bel Air, because we signed it to stop people from
So-
parking in our spots. They will enforce it, as long as
Just-
it's signed.
Just to clarify, so the parking that's the area that's on the edge there, that's just in the lease area. It's not a tow zone or anything
It's,
like that.
but it says tow signage. It's marked
So-
all the way up there.
Oh, as far as the marking?
Yeah.
That's what it's about, is putting
It's
signage.
That signage,
designating
okay.
that signage is going to be installed, so of course, I'm looking at it from a global perspective and saying,
Sure.
I don't want someone to get angry with their girlfriend and call Bel Air PD at 10 o'clock at night, move this, come tow this car or something like that, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
So the towing signs, do they give a time limit though?
It,
I mean,
it doesn't say on the
If you
plan.
park there and you
Well,
walk into the bank,
it's-
somebody come out and tow your car?
The town has never regulated towing signs
Or
that I know
ticket
of.
your car, or whatever?
Good evening, Kevin Contardi, Contardi Consulting. I'm the principal with Contardi Consulting at 6920 Green Valley Road in Newmarket, Maryland. Parking for the credit union. These spots here are reserved for the credit union. These are in the lease area and are shared. We don't have a problem with anybody parking here. We love people to park there. The reason when we tow, it's a park and ride, like Chris had said, or if there's an abandoned vehicle there for 3 days, and we don't have an option, we want to have the option to be able to do that if someone leaves a broken down car in the parking lot. We don't actively, again, a community credit union, we want to work with our members. So I want to reinforce just that, again, these spaces are reserved for our members to make it convenient, but even these red spaces are in our lease area, but they're all shared. So if people are in there in the evening, like you mentioned, great, more the merrier. Hopefully they use our ATM.
They probably will.
Yeah, so we're all for that.
Okay.
Any other questions on that?
Yeah, just to clarify, the ones you just pointed around the bank, for members, the member parking
That-
spots.
Yeah.
How do you gonna know it's a member if it's a
Well-
towing zone?
Bottom line is if someone's there and they're using the bank, the credit union, excuse me, if a vehicle's there for like more than like 2 hours, something's
So
wrong.
basically, it's
Yeah,
gonna
if
be a
they're there
common
too-
sense enforcement.
And sir, that's a great question, but even if they were there for 2 or 3 hours one day, we're not gonna tow them. But if it's there overnight, or there's a problem, we just have to have an ability to get it relocated.
Okay.
One thing to mention is that you, and Mr. Bud, you probably know this, there is a regulation in the state that requires the tow signage to be a certain font, a
Correct.
certain size, all that stuff has
That's
to,
right.
otherwise the person will come back to you and say, pay my impoundment fee.
And actually, at our current location, we have the signs, I believe is it Pollard's? I believe
Pollard's.
Pollard's Towing. We rely on our consultant, and great point, Kevin.
Wow.
They use based the language, it has to be notified so we can legally tow a vehicle. Great point.
So I don't believe that the planning commission can enforce anything regarding the towing, so it is something, Mr. Chismar, that we probably need to explore in the 3 days I have left.
Yeah, that's something to consider for the commissioners.
So I wasn't clear that you have the 2 zones, the ones that are right around the bank for the employees and whatever, that would have signage for towing, and even the red strip down along Tollgate Road, those would also have signage?
No.
These
No.
three, sir, are gonna have basically Point Breeze Credit Union member only signage
Okay.
for these three. These will all have the signs for, note that we can tow, the towing signs.
Right.
Standard state towing signs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but
No.
under what conditions? Yeah, my question is under what conditions? So there's 2 different signs, one will have one condition, one will have another condition, one more stringent, the ones that are along for the employees only, or customers. So I don't,
All right, the
Yeah.
sign, go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say, I think the condition that would enable Point Breeze to tow within their lease area would be if they observe somebody who is chronically there and not using the mixed-use center, or leaving their car there for days at a time and abandoning it. I think those are the circumstances. It's going to be a common sense test, but by the same token, they're not going to want to find themselves in a position where they tow somebody who happens to work in Phase 1 and likes to park over here if they see that car every day. So I don't think they're going to be rabid about the towing, and I understand the concern, but I just don't think that,
So you will have the ability to tow all of the areas that are
in red.
in red? Okay.
Correct.
do you need signage to be able to say you do? Okay.
Thank you.
Just have one more comment. I
Sure.
spent an inordinate amount of time, I guess, looking at applications this time. Normally, I don't read the applications, but on yours, under number 4, request, the applicant is requesting the development of a credit union with a drive-through totaling plus or minus 2.725 square feet. It's not 2,000, it's a 2.725. Whether or
Yeah,
not
that is
makes
something,
any-
you're asking for 2,200 or 725 square feet, right?
That needs a
You
comma.
can't go over
Correct.
that.
2725.
Yes, that number that's on there, whether it has a plus or minus, you're asking
Oh,
for
got it.
that number and no more.
No.
Okay.
No, my point
Does that work for our
is that it
architect
says
team?
2.725.
Yeah.
Oh, it should be a comma.
It
I
should be
think
a
that's-
comma.
yeah.
Now, whether or not that makes any difference legally, I don't know.
Well, we're definitely asking for more than 2.7 square
I
feet.
know you are.
I can confirm that.
I just happen to notice
Might
that.
be able to get the ATM machine.
Okay. doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, but do you
Noted.
understand?
I understand, I just, the
They
architect's
cannot
nodded.
exceed that.
Correct, understood.
Or else
Is
they're
the
back here.
generator gas-powered,
Good
or
question.
do you know yet?
I don't know. Oh, diesel,
It's diesel?
yes.
Yeah, the one you
So
got
it'll have a
now is
little
diesel.
belly tank, and you'll have to, when it gets, somebody will, little diesel come up and fill it. I'm just wondering, if it's gonna have like a muffler on top of it, something that, I've done them a lot.
Attenuation.
A residential muffler, but, when I've seen those, they'll put a piece of chain link fence around it just so that nobody comes up and messes with it. But however you screen it, as long as it's, you have access to the side panels.
Sure, yeah.
And it exhausts out one side with a radiator, so when it's running, it blows a lot of hot air out. But, okay, maybe that's just a detail for you guys. The stormwater management BMPs, what are they?
Do you want to come describe them, Tom? The BMPs for stormwater? I don't know the exact type.
So since this project is all redevelopment, it's all impervious right now. It'll actually be going more green when we're done. What we're doing is we're using a Filterra, so that's located down at the bottom here. It's effectively a planter box. We're using it, a bunch of them over on phase 3 and 4.
Gotcha.
Effectively, it's filtering the water, taking it into the inlet. Yeah. Hey, Jeff, it's been a while since I think we've ran into each other.
The question that I have is when I look at the grading along that North Tollgate Road, it looks like you're raising up the paving surface along there. Was it your intent to keep that curb line, or are you going to reconstruct that whole edge?
Like along the length of this here.
Yeah.
We're keeping the curb line.
You're changing some of the grades.
We are
in that
changing some of the
paving.
grade up here, but it's still all following the same. So up,
Right,
you
but-
can't, I don't know if you can see where I'm pointing.
But you're running, you're running different elevations into that curb line, so
So
it
this-
looks like you're raising it.
This area is raising, so down in the front here, so grading wise, you come in, we're dropping through here.
Okay.
And the drive aisle is staying a little bit lower than existing grade. And then we drop down a little bit more, basically having the drop grade a little bit faster to get to make a flat building elevation. And then when we get over to this, as we continue to fall down, we then catch our grade back again to then drop again.
Okay.
So yeah, the curb line up here has changed, and then we kind of feather back in to connect back into it right here.
Okay, so
Where
you'll
the filter
reconstruct
is.
where you need to, and you're gonna repave this whole area, or?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
so the repaved area for the grade contours is the shading, kind of on this exhibit here, you kind of see it lightly shaded. That's effectively where we're regrading, the parking lot.
Okay, well, that's what confused me. When you run a proposed contour into the curb and it doesn't tie into an existing contour that's there, then it looks to me like, oh, I'm changing that whole edge, not by much.
Yeah,
but-
it's not by much, but we're adjusting there. For the most part, it's staying within inches.
Now, those Filteras, I mean, they're flat with the planting area. They butt up right up against the sidewalk, and there is gonna be, there is fall from the curb line down to the sidewalk, so, particularly on the one that's, the longer unit, you're gonna see, what, a sidewall of the box there?
You'll have probably a foot, I'd have to check exactly and see what the fall over there is. It'll be pretty similar to what it is now. So if you go out there and you look at the top of curb and then run that top of curb across wherever the sidewalk is at that location, you'll see that'll be the exposure of the Filterra box.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I was looking at the long one, it looked like a 352 contour running in, and then in the, on the paving side, you're probably gonna be about 355, so that looked to me significant.
There's already a little bit of a slope out there currently. I think there's
Right.
probably a two-foot slope on that
Okay,
backside.
well, in your finer plan, if you make that clear what those elevations are, that way.
Yeah,
it
yeah,
can
we'll
be-
have it
can
more
be
detailed
reviewed.
out. This is concept currently, but we're not making substantial grade changes on that curb line. We're reconstructing it, but we're not making substantial changes to it.
Okay. On the architectural plans, and this is minor, you've got the finished floor elevation right, but all of the other elevations are a little off. It's just, you know, you go from a datum of 300 to 500, so it looked.
Architects only work on zero. Sorry, guys.
And it was, it was minor. I think on the site plan, it says the tower height's 25, and then in the architecturals, it's 23. Is it, you know, as long as it's fixed for the final?
You can defend yourself now.
These are preliminary elevations, so it's 25 on the civil plan, just to give us a little bit in case as we detail it, we
Yeah,
need to
it's-
add a little.
It's just
Yeah.
coordination. The one
Yep.
that, you know, when it was the top of buildings in the 500 elevation that looked, we'd have a high rise.
Oh, no, we do not, obviously. No.
And then on the landscape plan, and maybe, Kevin, maybe this is a question for you. Like, down at the intersection of Baltimore Pike and Tollgate Road, 3 of those trees are outside the property.
Right,
Can they
there's actually
count?
comments from State Highway that say remove those from the road. I've already spoken with Kate, and they're gonna remove them,
Okay,
yeah. They actually overplanted that area, so that works fine.
okay. And then up at the corner, you know, of Tollgate Road as you enter in, there, right there by the BGE transformer, there's an existing hydrant and a little bit of segmental block wall, because there was a little grade change there. So, with the hydrant being up a little bit, so.
So from my recollection of that area, I always took that segmental block wall as more of a landscape wall than really more to make it look. I mean, I don't think we're really touching anything over there.
Well, you were showing a new tree getting planted in there, and it's like, okay, you're gonna take down the existing tree, which I think was on the high side of the wall, and plant the new one, so it's like, are you leaving that piece of segmental wall in there, are you gonna fiddle with that area?
I wasn't considering fiddling with it. Kate? Any fiddling? Well, we can move the tree.
Yeah, I prefer the existing tree go and the new tree come in. So if that tree needs to get relocated, that's not a problem.
As long as it's clear with the you know, as long as it doesn't impact the hydrant, you know, because you've got that service lead coming in.
Right. I didn't see that on the plan I had.
It
So I
doesn't
know
show up on the plan.
Hartford County's rule of thumb, I don't know if Bel Air has one, but I believe it's like 7 feet from hydrants, 7 or 8 feet, one of those two. It's not 10, which is always, they don't give me an even number. But it's like 7 or 8 feet from a hydrant is
Yeah,
where
it's-
they want the tree to be planted.
It should be corrected to make it 10.
10, okay. It's an even number, I can remember that.
That was it for
Very
me.
even now.
I'm still a little puzzled about the whole matter with the towing zone. Exactly what we're approving. My general idea would be to defer to the to the tenant and how the mall wants to manage that, but I'm hearing, well, we wouldn't really enforce it at night, and yet council's telling us, well, if we got a call and the police were alerted to this, we'd have no choice but to go and tow, and I don't remember seeing any of this with anything else on the considerable acreage of the Hartford Mall redevelopment anywhere else. Just this one particular phase. And it seems, and I understand some of the things that could happen there, but to me, it's a very different situation than what we have up the street here at Main Street and Route 1, where you have one dominant, high attendance tenant and then some much smaller ones that need some parking. And that towing threat has worked over the years and been costly for some people who violated it. But can you help me with what I'm actually being asked to approve there, and what the parameters would be with this, and why we even need it? And do we have it over on South Atwood Road right now at
Yep.
the existing site?
Just to interject a little bit, in my opinion, it seems unnecessary. There's no competition for spaces out there. They're the only use. But I also know that we really don't have anything in our code to really regulate that. You could probably regulate it under the special development for a shopping center if you wanted to try to do that.
The only other thing I could say is that way would fall inconsistent with the shared parking element under the performance standard. I mean, conceptually so. You know, I understand the tenant's desire to keep the parking spaces closest to their building for, you see it at banks all the time, 2 spots, reserved for Point Breeze, Federal Credit Union, ATM use only. Fine, whatever, tollway zone. But again, that whole stretch along in a mixed-use concept seems inconsistent with the concept of mixed use and shared parking. But again, that's just my thing, so.
We'll make it easy.
You're gonna remove it?
We'll remove the signs along the edge, but we would like to keep the signs that for the bank parking only. And the rules there would be clear, because it would say, credit union parking only. But it would say credit union parking only, and then with the towing signs to give them the ability if it's not credit union parkers. But the other signs we would take away.
At least you didn't say Whole Foods.
Yes, yes.
Where's Matt?
So we're reducing the number, and you don't really want all those signs.
No, I
stacked
totally
on the
agree.
site anyway,
Plus, somebody mentioned it before, what rules are being enforced? It would be one thing if it said shopping center parking only, and then you had a towing sign. But we're not gonna litter the side with signs, so we will have the signs around the credit union building with towing signs only in that location.
When it,
I
when it
appreciate that. That seems
would
at least more reasonable.
come to a towing a car, is that, when you say call the police, is that the Bel Air Police, or would that be the security force there?
It would actually be Pollard's, I think. It's the towing company that would get called.
Why was the police mentioned? I don't understand. The police would have the car towed.
It's my understanding, I'm just talking from my own professional experience, we have no parking, reserved parking behind my building, 30 Office Street, downtown. I don't have any near parking that these people have. And we were told, because we had people who were coming to the farmer's market, to all kinds of events downtown, and they were parking in our spots, and we couldn't get in, that the Bel Air Police couldn't do anything unless we signed it. So we signed all our spots, and that stopped all of it. No one parks there now, which is great. In and of itself, it fixed it. But that's what the chief at that point in time told Stark and Keenan. So I'm just telling you from my experience. So if they handle it on their own,
Yep.
they can designate a tow company, like on private property, towaway zone, you'll be
And
towed.
that's one of the requirements of the shopping center use, is that they provide their own security.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And they just confirmed that's exactly what we would do. It would be, the
Raymond's or-
expectation is Pollard's, and that.
Yeah, whoever.
Although we don't want the condition that it's Pollard's in case it's
No,
somebody.
yeah.
I'm just kidding. But it would be privately enforced, and only if someone from the credit union were calling would, they'd have an
Yeah.
arrangement with the towing company to know that that's how the.
I mean, I
how it would
think
work.
from a legal standpoint, if someone just parked a car there that was there for days and days
Yeah.
and months and had 4 flat tires, I think the property owner themselves could
Sure.
take care of it, you know?
Right.
So,
Right.
Okay. I feel better.
Clear as mud?
Clear as mud. Oh, I like that. Any more comments, questions?
I'm gonna call this, red line exhibit number 3, because it's 3 in your little booklet.
Okay.
That way I can reference it in the conditions.
Okay, great.
Okay, this is the time of night where anyone in the audience wants to come up and speak, ask any questions. It's your time. No? Okay.
I do
Ready for
have
a
this-
motion?
Yeah, who's doing the motion? You? Because I got a markup here for you.
On the site plan?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and mark it up and hand it over to me.
Okay.
I first move, though, that the proposed use meets the provisions of the 2022 comprehensive plan as required by Town Code Section 16519.
Second.
Roll call?
Aye.
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 Okay, we're moments away here.
Okay.
Okay, do I have another motion?
All right. I move that we approve the site plan. At a minimum, approval of the preliminary site plan is conditioned on the following. Prior to building permit application, submission of a final site plan for signature incorporating comments from this staff report and comments from Maryland Department of Transportation, comments February 11th, Bel Air Volunteer Fire Department, email dated February 18th, Harford County Health Department dated February 24th, Harford County Soil Conservation pending, haven't heard from them, probably not too many soil issues.
That's not too
over
many
there.
soil.
Not much soil left there. Bel Air Public Works comments dated February 17th, and the Town Architectural Consultant comments dated February 24th. They were fine, by the way, at least appear to be. Number 2, prior to approval of utility construction drawings, applicant must address comments from the Maryland American Water Company. 3, complete all site work on the final site plan prior to issuance of the final use and occupancy permit. Construction of required improvements outlined in the town traffic impact analysis, conditional approval letter pending. Landscape installation. Number 4, coordination of utility placement, easements and rights-of-way with the Department of Public Works prior to the building permit issuance. 5, approval of a traffic impact analysis prior to building permit issuance. 6, revision to handicap spaces, towing areas, vehicle traffic flows, and parking space numbering on the final site plan. And 7, review the plan to reflect the Exhibit 3 presented at the hearing regarding the towing zone.
Second.
Before I call roll, I just got a question. The health department letter that's in here.
Yeah.
They need to be notified that this is a private sewer system and not Harford County Water and Sewer.
Did they reference Harford County Water?
Yes.
Sewer? Okay.
Good catch.
Do we have to add that into this?
I think that's more
Okay.
administrative.
Okay, I'll call roll then. Jeff?
Aye.
Pete?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
Jimmy, it's an aye. Passes. Do I have another motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, at a minimum, the approval of the landscape, excuse me, the landscape plan is conditioned on the following. 1, prior to building permit issuance, submission and approval of the final landscape plan, incorporating comments from the staff report and the following adjacent of the street trees, interior parking lot plantings, and buffering plantings based on Exhibit A, prior to the signature of the final landscape plan. Addition of the landscape trees, shrubs north of the drive-through lanes. Addition of the landscape islands on the perimeter of the parking lot. Addition of the proposed area lighting on the final landscape plan. Removal of the 3 trees that are in the state highway area.
You adding that to it?
Yeah.
I need to add that to my.
Okay. And you want to remove the tree
And that's already reflected in the state highway comments, and they're included in the,
Okay.
there, so that's not necessary.
All right, but, okay, so I'll exclude that, but E, removal of the tree, coming in from, toll gate into the shopping center.
Yeah, relocation.
Relocation,
Yeah.
okay.
Second.
Okay, roll call. Jeff?
Aye.
Pete?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
Jimmy? It's an aye. Who wants to take the next one?
I'll do it. I recommend approval of the site development for mixed-use center. Under the following conditions, the special development for mixed-use center is based on the following findings of fact: that the applicant has adequately demonstrated adherence to section 165-53I 2G. A, the applicant has provided a unified arrangement of buildings, service areas, parking, signage, and landscaping. B, the architecture, site design, lighting, and signage incorporate consistent design and theme elements and materials, massing and facade design for the project that is in harmony with the character of the neighborhood. C, the internal circulation system is designed to minimize through traffic and traffic conflicts within the project. D, safe pedestrian movement and the provision of pedestrian walks within the parking lot and surrounding the building perimeter is considered in the design. E, all proposed establishments have vehicular service access either from an individual service drive, space or from a common service yard. All loading, trash removal, compaction, or similar activities are segregated from public and screened from public areas and screened from public view. F, signs to identify the use of an occupant will be designed as part of the architectural design of the building. Proposed signage is conditioned for approval of the preliminary plan and is subject to review and approval by the Planning Commission. G, directional and informational signs will be adequately provided and design coordinated. H, center management is responsible for providing on-site security service. I, a traffic and/or parking study was submitted and is under review. J,
That
the,
would-
Well,
Jeff,
it
that
is to
part,
be.
that will be, that hadn't been done yet. Okay?
Just say
okay,
will be
this
submitted.
will be
Will
submitted.
be submitted, yes.
The owners of all lots have executed and recorded a development agreement with the town, providing that all owners acknowledge and agree to be bound by performance standards as an overall scheme of development, outlining all shared elements, granting reciprocal easements to permit each owner to access any other owner's lot or parcel of land for the purpose of compliance with the town code, and for either remediating any zoning violations or to comply with the town code for the purposes of any approvals sought by any of the owners of the lot, and agreeing that the town shall permit enforcement of any portion of the town code upon one or more owners of any lot or parcel of land contained within the mixed-use center scheme of development.
Second.
Roll call. Jeff?
Aye.
Pete?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
And is it aye for Jimmy? Pass. Do I have another motion?
Approval for the special development for drive-through is going to be based upon the following findings of fact: that the applicant has adequately demonstrated adherence to section 165-53.I2C. A, the use is designed so that pedestrian and vehicular circulation is coordinated with that of adjacent properties. A traffic parking impact study has been required by the zoning administrator. B, drive-through lanes are marked with distinctive pavement markings and/or special striping and shall not block exit or entry to off-street parking, service areas, or emergency access. C, adequate spaces for stacking at drive-through facilities shall be provided, specifically 16 spaces.
So just correct that to 12.
It's correct that 12 spaces are provided via three lanes.
Yep.
Okay, we got that? D, noise from speaker systems shall be regulated to meet state of Maryland standards for control of noise pollution. E, drive-through windows and vehicle queuing lanes are located along the side and rear facades and not between the building and primary public right-of-way. Guidelines. A, the Planning Commission has adjusted the vehicle stacking requirement from 7 to 4 per lane based on the multiple lanes provided. And B, additional buffering north of the drive lanes is required by the Planning Commission to address interior traffic impact entering the center.
Second.
Roll call. Jeff?
Aye.
Pete?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
Aye for Jimmy as well. Congratulations.
You get to move.
Don't tow me.
The only thing I'll ask, if there's any conversation, we're going to keep moving on to the next item, and we just ask that you be polite and keep it quiet. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to item C on the agenda, which is the Hartford Malls Phase 3-4 additional lot. Mr. Small, would you like to give a presentation?
Sure. Give me 1 second. Okay. Again, I'll skip over the very beginning portions. Applicants requesting subdivision plan approval to create a lot A4 from the acreage within lot A1. This will involve previously approved development associated with the Phase 2 or Phase 3, which is 82,924, and Phase 4, which is 11,633 square feet. The proposed projects reviewed as part of the project area consisting of the entire mall development. Existing Hartford Mall project area is described encompasses several existing and proposed buildings, including Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3. I'm not going to go through those in detail. Phase 4, you've seen them all. The applicant proposes to subdivide a 10.45 acre lot from the existing 25.45 acre lot, which is A1. That, as shown on the existing plat, and it's on your monitors. Probably get a little closer. Let's see. And that's already recorded as MLK 223/22, so Librafolio. And that's recorded April or October 15th, 2025. This results in a remaining lot 1, or lot A1 of 15 acres. The new lot will be identified as lot A4. When this plat is recorded in Hartford County Land Records, the preliminary plat appears to show all of the necessary easements and right-of-ways provided on each parcel with the access and utilities within the center. Subdivision require a revision of the existing development agreement that is yet to be recorded in Hartford County Land Records. The revised development agreement must be worked through with the town council to establish the necessary property owners and allow the town to enforce zoning regulations to all parties within the project area. The preliminary subdivision is part of an overall mixed-use center previously approved by the Planning Commission. By approving this subdivision, the Planning Commission approves a waiver of interior lot line setbacks and landscape buffers. I'm not going to go over the previous approvals again. If anybody has any questions, let me know. Declaration of intent is usually required at subdivision. It was required a couple of years ago, so that's already on file. That's all I've got.
I got one question for you, Kevin, before we get to the presentation. How's this going to affect all the agreements made in all these phases? Is it going to affect it at all?
When you say agreements, you're
I'm
referring
talking
to,
about each phase with the
Yeah.
parking,
you mean the approval letters?
all that.
Really, it's just placing a lot line within the center, and it should not affect any previous site plans, and if it does, they rule. So they would have to move their lot lines.
Okay.
We've looked at that to make sure that there's no conflicts. But do know that by waiving the interior lot lines and the interior landscape buffers, you are allowing them to have a little bit freer reign to establish this lot line where they want to put it. It's really just a matter of ownership versus, and you'll never even notice the difference out on the site.
But it still comes under the whole blanket of the whole property.
It does,
For
yes.
maintenance, security, the whole
The
9
whole
yards.
thing. And that's why there's a requirement in here to revise the development agreement, because as you add more lots, you're going to add more owners, and those owners need to be included in the agreement.
Okay. At this time, I'll ask the applicant to do a presentation if they like, and
You go again for the record?
I'm sorry?
Go again for the record?
yes.
Your name
All
and
right.
address?
Tom Miner, Frederick Ward Associates, 5 South Main Street. So this is for basically the subdivision for Phase 3 and 4. We did Phase 2, now we're kind of moving on to this one. Since we got Phase 4 approved, we could finalize where the lot is going to be located, along with the easement locations, along with coordinating with both the town and Maryland American to ensure that the easements that we have located on the site are in their proper locations. So we've coordinated with both entities. We haven't had full plan and permit approval, but we're confident on the locations of where these easements are going to be located to ensure that we're servicing both Phase 3 and 4, and then also coordinating with the other pieces of the parcel to ensure that service continues to be provided. Just for representation of this is what, this is a lot of data on there. This is what the lots will now be configured as after this approval. You have Phase 1 over here. You have Phase 2 here, Phase 3 and 4, which is all one lot, and then you have the remaining pieces.
You can add Phase 5 now.
Well, in the future, Phase 5, so that's probably down the road, very likely.
No, that's
Phase
tonight.
6.
You
We
just
did
got it
Phase
tonight.
5.
But it doesn't have to be included in what you're doing.
Correct. Phase 5.
Yeah.
I'm thinking subdivision,
But
sorry.
The credit union, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking you meant the subdivision aspect of Phase 5. Sorry, yeah, so, and Phase 5, correct, for the actual construction of Phase 5. So, just for easier outline, the red, this is 3, 4, which is going through the approval process right now. Or it's been approved, but we just get final site plan approval, we're working through that. Not really too exciting, just another piece of the cut up. We are, to Kevin's point, we are requesting the interior, the waiver for the lot line and the landscaping. Otherwise, we're just working through the rest of the agencies to make sure that we're in compliance and building out the center as needed.
So I have a question. Are we waiving the lot lines for the existing mall that they're going to demo at some point? And when I say the existing, I'm not talking the Macy part that was 3 and 4. I'm talking what's remaining. Phase 6, basically. Is that what
For
we're
the,
doing?
for the mall?
Is that what we're doing here with this?
No, well, no, you can specify that it's only for
3 and 4.
A4. And that's the lots being created, and you can waive the lot lines for that. And if you want to keep the lot lines for A1, that's fine.
But isn't A1 the old, the remainder, the remaining?
It's the remaining mall, yeah.
Okay. But that's what we're asking for?
Well, they may be asking for it, but you don't have to give that to them. I'm not sure that's necessary. You can give them, you can waive the lot lines only for A4 if you like, because I don't think, right now, the buildings exist on A1, so it's not much you can do about that.
Right.
So it's for, moving forward, it's for future development.
Does that work for you, Tom?
Do we see any issues with that, Kate? I think that'd be fine. I mean, it'd be nice to have it just waived now, and then we don't have to come back and ask for it, but,
You're gonna be back anyway.
we're gonna be back anyway, so it's not a big deal either way.
You're outlasting all of us. Most of us.
It's fine, yes, it's fine for this one. It might as well actually keep it honestly clean as we go through and continue that, and conceptually have it approved as we go step by step.
Yeah, I just, I think we're only, that's something that it's hard to review right now, because I'm not even sure they're even showing any easements going across from like where Phase 5 is.
I'd rather it be, every waiver be to each parcel. I think that that's a cleaner way just to document.
Yep.
So so we're gonna waive the lot lines for Phase 3, then waive the lot lines for Phase 4.
No, you would waive the lot lines within Lot A4, which includes Phase 3
Which is
and 4.
Phase 3 and 4, okay.
Yeah.
For the easements that are going to be released, do we end up seeing that, or is that just an administrative item that's taken care of separately?
That's administrative, it goes through DPW. I rely heavily on DPW for this type of a review. They're the ones who know where all the easements need to be and who owns those easements.
Okay, gotcha.
Since we'll be back on these, we really want them released because it just becomes a pain later on. So there's a high motivation for us to make sure they also get released.
What is the main reason for doing this? I'm just curious.
A couple of different things. More is control, so SJC, for this portion of the subdivision. It has banking purposes. It's banking control. It's also part of the way that the lease agreements work. Ownership, yeah, I mean, that's the primary purpose, is they actually own the property underneath of it now. Because right now, if you don't, then someone owns that piece and, or, you know.
Well, it's common ownership.
Right.
So, right now, it's all common ownership except Shops at Harford has its own owners, which is Shops at Harford Mall LLC.
And Phase 2.
And Phase.
They have their own line.
Well, no, they haven't closed yet, that I'm aware of.
Oh, okay.
So it's all owned by anybody else. I mean, to his point, he's correct. What'll probably happen is they'll settle off A4 to another owner. It doesn't matter for the purposes of the planning commission because the approval still stands. The development agreement binds them. They can, once I get that development agreement of record, it's gonna run with and bind every single lot until the town of Bel Air releases it. So it'll always follow them.
The reason I asked, that came up, Don brought that up in a couple meetings back about the same type of situation.
That's
So-
why we have the development agreement, and I insist on it being recorded. In fact, that was gonna be one of the things I wanted to talk to Chris about before he left, is that, it was represented to us that Phase 2, we would not record the development agreement, which is signed by everybody involved, and sitting in my office in escrow, until they closed on the purchase of Phase 2, which is the apartments, which, to my knowledge, still hasn't happened, which is fine. I'm not holding it against them. But if we're going to continue to cut out lots, and then, Phase 2 might hang out there, but they might sell Phase 3, we need to get that development agreement of record, because it needs to follow whoever is going to own these lots moving forward. So that was already on my little checklist for you. Okay? Does that help sort of explain
That
it?
answered my question.
Okay, so they can subdivide it to the hills. The whole area, project area, is encumbered by that development agreement and the approval. Chris?
Yeah, Chris Mudd, Venable LLP, 210 West Pennsylvania Avenue, Suite 500, Towson, Maryland. Liz said it right. The intention here is that what's in blue and green, and then perhaps other pieces as well, will eventually be sold from CBL, the current owner, to to SJC and then CDP, the green to CDP, the blue to SJC. But you can't do that unless it's subdivided. So the subdivision facilitates that. And then to Liz's concern, I think actually the executed version of the development agreement refers to lots that are different than exist now. And I completely agree that we have to clean that up. And we've talked about that, and our expectation is that we would do that. It doesn't change anything substantively whatsoever about those agreements, other than specifically identifying who owns what parcel at what time.
Okay, that answered my question. Anybody else got any?
Sure.
I do have a question real quick about, Tom, about, it looks like, I'm gonna,
You want a different one?
I'm gonna switch it over here in a
Yeah,
second.
it's hard to zoom in if you want to.
This area right here, this easement, which is a BGE easement,
Mm-hmm.
that looks like it runs underneath Whole Foods. Is that right?
So, the way I understand it, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong here, but the way I understand is we have a blanket BGE easement over the entire parcel right now. That's an old BGE easement.
Uh-huh.
We're going through right now with BGE, all of the relocations, all of the gas work, everything else through that. So that easement, I don't even know, because it goes underneath the mall too, I believe, right now. Or
Yeah,
underneath
I would
Macy's.
assume it would be going under Macy's, right?
Correct. So I don't even think it's in use. Either way, we're gonna be,
Is there a note on the plan about a blanket easement?
I know there's a blanket easement. I don't know if it's on this plan.
Would we be permitted to, just relative to the easements, to clean up how that needs to appear before it becomes of record?
They would just have to make
Yeah.
I mean, if you're saying you need to clean up the easements regarding BGE, that would be certainly easy enough to do.
Yeah, I guess I'd like to talk to, I hadn't seen this, but I'd like to talk to SJC to make sure on that particular issue that their lender or someone else is not gonna give them a problem because an easement's shown on a plat. So it might be helpful to add a note that would say to be removed or to be replaced by a blanket easement or something like that.
Right, that's up to the planning commission. It seems to be relatively straightforward, but.
Yeah. Because I know when reviewing title for these things, sometimes someone can look at something and say, well, just as you pointed out, that's right under the building. And if the plat of record makes clear that that's going to go away or be replaced or swapped, that would be preferable from our perspective.
Yeah, there is a ton of easements running across it. Obviously, you can see that. Some are being abandoned, some are being added. So it is rather, and it's the only people who understand it is DPW. That's the, Charlie Dawson and Steve Klein.
But saying that it's gonna be released, isn't that the same thing as saying, okay, it's gonna be extinguished?
Does it
but-
say that?
Well, by the crosshatching, it says portion of existing utility easements to be released by a separate
Okay,
document.
well, yeah, then that kind of answers that.
Is that there it is being released?
I only saw it on the actual plan. I didn't look at the legend, so.
You can strike my request. We don't need to do that.
I know we've been working with BGE. We've literally had meetings every other day with
So you don't
coordinating
need
all
that
of this.
included?
Got it. It's gonna be
Right.
released.
Okay.
Okay. Great.
Sorry, I didn't mean to lead you astray.
And sorry to have it memorized. I just know we've been moving things around all over the place with those guys, so.
Any other questions, comments from staff? Okay, this is the time someone in the audience wants to ask any questions. This is your time. Any takers? Okay.
Thank
And I guess I'm looking for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that the subdivision plan at a minimum be approved, and is conditioned on the following. One, prior to the building permit application, submission of a final recorded plat for signature incorporating comments from this staff report and comments from Harford County Health Department, which would be pending, and the Bel Air Public Works comments dated February 25th, 2026. Submission, execution, and recordation of a revised development agreement for the Harford Mall development as directed by Town Council. Prior to approval of the utility construction drawings, applicant must address comments from Maryland American Water. Based on what we just said, we don't need 4 because 4 is coordination of utility placements, easements, and right-of-way within the department. We still need that?
Relative to A4,
Yeah, prior to building, or building permit issues, do we still need that? I mean, I can put it in if we don't.
and that's number
Number 4.
coordination of utility placement, easements, and right-of-way with the Department of, I would keep it in.
Okay.
Yeah.
4, coordination of utility placement, easement, and right-of-way with the Department of Public Works prior to the building permit issuance. Number 5, waiver of interior lot lines, setbacks, and landscape buffers in accordance with mixed-use performance standards for Lot A, or Lot A4 only.
Second.
Roll call. Jeff?
Aye.
Pete? Don?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
And it's an aye for Jimmy.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
You've got a subdivision.
Another one.
Okay. Last item on the agenda tonight is Phase 2 residential apartment use for Hartford Mall. Again, I'm going to ask Mr. Small to fill us in on this, give a
All right.
presentation.
Okay, this is more of a memorandum because the staff report was issued a couple of years ago. On January 4th, 2024, the Planning Commission approved the site plan, subdivision plan, and landscape plan for the residences at Hartford Mall, now identified as Phase 2 of the total development. Subsequently, on September 4th, 2025, this approval was extended for 1 year and the original 2-year approval expiration, from the original 2-year expiration date. At that time, the Planning Commission requested revised architectural elevations and received those revisions, which became the basis for their appearance, for the appearance of the building. These perspectives are attached to this memorandum. The new elevations were submitted and are attached that appear to revise the parking garage component of the proposed architecture. Other minor changes appear to have been made, but to the revised elevations, the applicant is encouraged to provide colored perspectives from a similar viewpoint. Of the original architectural, in the original approved illustrations to allow the Planning Commission to better understand the nature of the changes. The town architectural consultant has provided comments regarding the proposed revised elevations, and those are attached to your package. Town staff has also reviewed the revised elevations and finds no objection to the perceived changes. However, the applicant's encouraged to bring samples to the hearing which the town can retain to allow the Planning Commission to better understand the proposed architecture for Phase 2. At a minimum, approval of the revised architectural Phase 2 architecture is conditioned on provision of material samples to the staff to utilize during the building permit and construction review. That's all I've got.
Okay.
Want to pass, have some more
Mr.
handouts.
Would you like to give your presentation?
Killed some trees.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
What I got here.
There's just some extra things. Okay, good evening once again. Chris Mudd with Venable LLP, 210 West Pennsylvania Avenue, Suite 500, Towson, Maryland. And with me here tonight on Phase 2 from Cohere Development, or CDP, the owner or the future owner of the residential property is Mr. Kyle James and Kyle Whitman. From Frederick Ward and Associates, we have Kate Pierce, Tom Miner, and Tori Pierce, and from Hord Copeland and Mocht, the architect of record, Sean Kepperston, And I neglected to mention before that John Michelle is here as well from CBL, the mall owner. I'm gonna ask the planning commissioners not to blink during this presentation, because if you do, you might miss why we're here. This is a super hyper technical reason that we're here. The architect for Point Breeze mentioned something during her presentation, which I thought was telling for this purpose, which is she noted when answering questions about the elevation, she said that these are, I think she used the term preliminary elevations. And there was some flexibility built in, because when you're at that stage of the project, you're saying, okay, well, we generally have this amount of space. Here's how things are going to fit. Here's how things are going to look. And then as you make your way towards the finish line, you might have tweaks and changes, and that's exactly why we're here tonight. Between the time that the residences were approved and now, Sean and his team at Horde Copeland and Mocht are working diligently on building permit plans. And when you do that, you have to figure out where HVAC units are going to go, and where utility ducts are going to go, and how the final grading is going to look on the site. And when all these things happen, sometimes you have tweaks. Sometimes you have big tweaks, but sometimes you have very minor ones, and fortunately that's what we have here tonight to show you. So the first page that we're looking at, we also realized with Mr. Small as we were going through this that the only imagery of record in this case happened to be perspectives, which are these, as opposed to elevations, which are these. So we're having and entering into the file now the official elevations for this residential part of the project. And these elevations are meant to show what this building is going to look like from each vantage point. So this south elevation is interior to the site. If you're standing with the existing mall building at your back looking out towards Bolton, this would be what you would see in front of you. That's on the top of the page. On the bottom of the page, this is what you would see if you were standing with Bolton Street to your left and the new Mall Street to your right. Basically, the Mall Street being the street you'd be standing on at the top. This is what the facade looks like in that location. Moving to the second page, the north elevation on top is what you would see when looking from Bolton Street into the development. And then the elevation on the bottom is what you would see when standing on the street that's going to be situated between the residences and Phase 4, with the new retail at your back in this vantage point. So these are now officially being entered into the record. And then the next imagery that you see here and is where I'm begging you not to blink. So we can certainly answer questions and give more detail if necessary about the types of tweaks and changes that were necessitated in the final run-through by Horde Copeland Mocht. But suffice it to say, windows may have moved a little bit in one direction or another, or there may be balconies shifted or things like that.
Before we go on.
Sure.
And it's been a while.
Yeah.
But I don't remember the first floor being under grade. The first floor, as I remember, was at grade.
So this is the original approved image. And this is the new image.
And
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Kyle Whitman, CEP North, One Olympic Place, Towson, Maryland. So there's a retaining wall right there.
Okay,
And it was
why?
always envisioned to be there, it's just a little bit more defined. So basically, instead of having a grade go down from the street
Okay.
into it and put water on my foundation, we have a retaining wall to kind of help that water management, and that kind of gives that perception.
Again,
Yeah,
it's been a couple
it
years,
was always
but I don't
envisioned
remember
that way, but-
I remember it being more at grade versus
Can you go back and
under
forth
grade.
again? Sure. So this is the original approved version. And then you go here.
It's a little bit lower.
Yeah. Same
So
concept.
do you have drainage down there to keep the water and all
Correct.
that away? Okay.
Yes. And
Did we-
then,
Did we lose height then? Or is the height just in the ground now?
I'm sorry?
Did we lose height
Yeah, it
because
looks
the
like
height
it's
is
gotten a
now,
little
is
shorter.
now down inside the ground?
Yeah, Sean, why don't you come up?
Because it's not the same height as we originally.
Sean Kefferstan, Horde Copeland Mocht, 700 East Pratt, Suite 1200, Baltimore, Maryland 21202. The building height has remained completely the same as we kind of showed through those two renderings. It's just this one corner where the grade is higher right now, so we have a retaining addition there. But then main entrance here, we're right on grade with where we are today. And so the building has remained the same height throughout the entire period.
Which corner is this?
It's, this actually helped me when I was looking. Do you see up here in the upper corner?
So
It
this-
gives you the vantage point that you have. So this is interior, the existing mall buildings to your back.
Okay,
And you're looking towards the center of the building, really.
right.
And then, so back to that image, we don't have the same marker at the top, but that's the vantage point.
No, I'm just saying, the corner here that's more in the ground than it was previous, which corner is that? Is that?
This
the
is
new road?
between
Is that-
us and
Is this facing
Phase 4.
Bolton, or is this facing inside? the
This is
mall?
inside facing Phase 4.
Okay.
Right. So that's it. I was talking to Ms. Thompson this week, and I was commenting that in other jurisdictions, there can be administrative processes that might allow something like this to happen at staff level. That doesn't exist in the town of Bel Air. So because we're making these changes that came to light during building permit review, it was determined that because the images of record, which I'm showing you now, are very slightly different from the images that we now have, we were asked to provide essentially the final elevations and the final renderings for the record. So we're asking you to approve that.
Are you through building permit review now? So you're,
Yeah, we have
Yep.
to submit those too. Yep.
Sean Keffertan, Hort Copeland Mocked. We have not submitted for building permit yet. We are actively working on producing those documents.
This is the materials that will be used, paint colors, window, hardy plank.
Right, we can make these exhibits.
Yeah. Do I get to keep them?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that was the expectation.
To further answer your question about building permits, it's still on track with
That was stupid of
what
me,
we
wasn't it?
reported at our extension hearing, so late spring, June. And basically, the code review that occurs there shouldn't.
You don't expect any other
No.
changes as you go through final
No,
code review?
Really,
Okay.
and Sean can get into the details and, the technical side. But when you start mapping these things out with MEP, water rooms, risers, things just get shrunk, shifted, windows need to move to accommodate all, and that's kind of what's occurred. Fenestration, I had to look that word up. I don't even know if that's an architect thing, so, you can explain that to him. But just those sorts of things, just as the building's been, I call it packaging the building up, and that's.
Yeah, Sean Keffertan, Hort Copeland Mock, just working on exact locations of all optimizing walls. Where's the bedroom versus the living room? We want a larger window in the living room than the bedroom. Working with the exact window manufacturer on what their size limitations are. Getting our structurals on board, making sure we've got all the structure there to support the windows going through. And then as they kind of hit on mechanically, our intakes, our exhaust, making sure all of that hit at the end of the day so that the building works when it's delivered.
You might be answering this question too.
Yep.
I know Mr. Mudd. The other phases, how is this, is it in any contrast to these colors? Like the item D that you just showed,
Right.
the darker color?
So I think one of the things that we clarified as we made our way from phase 2 into phase 3 and then phase 4, and really I think we clarified it between phase 3 and phase 4, which is these materials are not going to be the exact same as they are in phases 2 and 4. Sorry, 3 and 4. But they are complementary. And I think we made that clear with the architect who was reviewing this, that it's not meant to be matchy-matchy. I think we had actually mentioned at one of the meetings that this building is really going to be a showpiece.
Right, you wanted it to stand out.
Exactly. And the others are going to have materials that are going to be complementary, but not exactly the same as what you're receiving here.
Yeah, there is a retaining wall shown in the site plan for phase 2. Right here.
Yeah.
I don't think it extends down as far as what you're showing on your elevation. Of course, that may be.
The elevation's up in the top one, you can
You're saying it's up here?
Yeah, that's the elevation,
Okay.
and that retaining wall's always been there, much to my chagrin. I would much rather not build a retaining wall.
Yeah, you don't like building
It
retaining walls?
costs more money than sod.
Tried to avoid it. It's been there the whole time, though, same elevation too. We're pretty much tied.
It just didn't show any elevation
We're pretty
drawing.
much tied in at
Correct.
that point, and the finished floor elevation for the apartments everything's been the same.
It helps with drainage, but it also makes for a much prettier planting bed. It's much easier to plan on, a flat surface than the side of the hill, so it just helps dress up the corner too a little bit.
There was, I think it was described to me as that the parking garage got taller. Was there any,
The parking garage is the same height. We extended the top level of the parking garage all the way to the streetscape to pick up a couple extra parking spots and make for a more efficient construction of that, essentially, is what occurred.
The top level wasn't fully finished, the full depth of the building, and now it will be.
Yeah.
okay.
That's-
So you can see it from Bolton?
Yes.
Can you switch it?
No.
to-
Let him talk about the way you can see it from.
No, Sean Carpenter, Horcliffe Mock. We're extending the fifth level of the garage to the road between us and the mall. So it will have no perceivable difference because of the perspective from Bolton.
There won't be no parking on the top level, correct?
There is
It'll all be
parking on the,
inside.
It'll be
There-
hidden, right?
there is parking on the top level of the garage, but it is hidden by a perimeter of the
Parapet.
parking garage.
That's the question I've got, is that you should be able to see the parking garage from Bolton.
No,
It
'cause
should
it's set
poke
back,
above.
it's set back off of the.
Well, it's set back, but you should still see it in the elevation,
You can
right?
actually see it here. It's not, there's units on the outside of the
I was gonna
garage.
say,
Oh.
you're not gonna,
But it doesn't poke above? Because when you look at the other elevation, it looks like it does.
I mean, we did stop our elevation as an elevation. We didn't take it all the way back. If I took it all the way back to the mall road, yes, you would see a dashed out part.
You would see, okay, just so you guys know, you'll see the top level, a little bit of garage
Portion of it.
poking up above the, yeah.
But I would say only in elevation, not in perspective, because it's 36 feet back from the edge of the
So
building.
you're saying if you're driving along Bolton,
You're-
you'll never see it?
You're not going to see it, because
Yeah.
we're 46 feet up and it's 36 feet back from the edge
What's
of
the
the building.
difference between the top of the garage and the top of the building?
Along Bolton,
Top of the residences?
along Bolton or along the mall road?
Well, I mean, it doesn't really matter. If you're, the
Wait.
elevation here has a top of the building, and then behind it, or 36 feet back, is the parking garage. What's the difference in the two heights?
So on Bolton Street, we are a half level lower in the parking garage, so it nearly aligns with the roof. And so then it's only here on the mall side that we actually are taller.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, I mean, the parking garage does a scissor. So on
Oh.
on
Yeah,
Bolton,
Okay.
on Bolton, we align with the roof. And so
I'm
all you're gonna
sorry.
have is a parapet wall above, and then here, we extended the half level,
Gotcha.
5'6" higher, above the building.
Now I understand. I'm sorry. Now I figured it out.
I'm still confused.
All right, so now I have another question. So what keeps somebody from going to the top of the parking garage and jumping on the roof of the apartments?
It is taller, and we have a vehicle barrier as well as same as a guardrail would be up at that height.
Can anybody get in that garage, or it's just the residents?
No.
It's completely secure. That's one of the changes. You can see the fencing a little bit on the bottom level. We added that in, so you can't just walk directly in the garage. It's one of actually the bigger marketing cells of
fully
the project.
secure.
It's
Yeah.
fully secure.
It's not
yeah.
an arm, it's a gate.
No, it's a roll. It's called a Ritec door. It's high speed, goes up, down very fast. You can't even have someone driving behind you.
Okay.
That's one of the main points of the project and the marketing ploy that we have, and we think that probably appeals to a little bit of an older crowd because they'll feel more secure in our garage, be able to park right on their floor. It's kind of the part of the design feature.
Makes sense.
Any more questions,
No.
clarifications?
no.
Can I, sorry, I actually just want to make a request before you take your vote.
Sure.
Is now the time to do that? I didn't want to cut you off if you have a question.
I'm good.
Go ahead. Okay, so, we were required by the architect to submit the materials as an exhibit. And these are the materials that, if this were going up tomorrow, could be sourced tomorrow. And my request is not meant to say that there's not intention to do exactly what's shown here, because there is. But my request is that if something can't be sourced as we get to the point of sourcing it, that there be leeway built in to work with staff to change out the material without necessarily having to come back here. And, this is not us coming with James Hardy plank in here and then telling staff we want to do, vinyl siding. Staff, of course, would send that back here. But I'm sure Sean can rattle off 5 different vendors who do something similar to Hardy.
The Hardy's painted, right?
Yeah, and so, right, so from a color standpoint, the Hardy is painted, but my point is, we would like the ability to have flexibility if we can't source exactly what has been required to be an exhibit.
Well, and particularly with the brick, we have to refresh our brick samples every 6 months because where they're getting the clay from changes slightly. So even if we get the exact same manufacturer, it will look
Yeah.
slightly different than maybe what is on that panel
Yeah.
today.
We will have the same couple of things. Overall quality, meaning hardy plank, brick, that sort of quality mantra. And we'll have the same color palette, but is the pigment one shade, because of the way they dyed it? Yeah, that does happen. Our contractor's already confirmed that this brick is available to be sourced as envisioned and doesn't see issues, but obviously world events happen, things happen, these materials come from everywhere.
I understand the spirit of what you're requesting there, and it would just seem to me that if the reality at the time is substantially different, then you should
Totally
run
agree.
that back through the planning department and let them figure out if they want to refer it back here.
That's perfect.
And the thing there too is just timing. When you get into construction, it just moves
Yeah,
much
I
quicker and
understand.
whatnot.
Our approval is not going to be, we're not going to have photographs of the
Okay.
these materials in
Great.
the approval, so.
Thank you, appreciate that.
But,
I
Kevin,
wanted-
is this a problem with the changing of the guard? I mean, you
I
might come
mean-
back 4 or 5 months from now, or whenever, and we have a new director and personnel, and
I think one of the things that you could write that into your approval, that, material samples have been submitted. If there's any change in material, color, texture, whatever, that would be coordinated with the staff, and they could determine whether or not. Now, it's going to be a totally different staff.
that's right, that's my concern.
So, well, Carr's here, so he'll be able to help us through. We're going to rely heavily on him.
I would just make a recommendation. They can outline the change of material and just include.
You have your mic on?
I would just have the applicant maybe on the elevations just add a note saying that it went from X material to X material. And
Right, and they would do that with whoever staff is there, and if it's the same, if it looks the same, I don't, we're not gonna have a problem.
For our,
It's not, it won't be material. Like
that's
it's,
what I was gonna say.
yeah,
For
it's.
our part, we don't have
it's
that
color.
concern because it's gonna be
It's just color.
exactly the
Yeah.
same, and it's just,
Okay.
it might be, kinda like we feel like tonight, it might be imperceptible. And if it's not, then absolutely we'd have to come back here, but that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, in the past, whenever we've done construction jobs with the town or my previous work, whenever you do what they call a run for particular bricks, you put that order in, because you know how many bricks you're gonna need. Well, if you come back 2 years later and you do the same order, those bricks will not look the same, because it's just, doesn't happen that way. And I'm sure that's what they're worried about.
And they like sit out in the sun at the factory
Yeah.
and all kinds of like weird stuff like that.
So that is kind of an understanding that we would, that most people who are involved with construction know that happens.
I just wanted to have Kevin give his professional clarification that the changes that we're approving tonight are minor and incidental to the approval that we made in January of '24. nothing that should constitute a resubmission of the whole project.
Oh, no, yeah, yeah.
That could, in some extreme, that could be the case. It's not in this case, though,
Right.
correct?
Right. I mean, this is, the changes that they've described, while, one of the reasons why we brought it back in front of you is this is not necessarily, I mean, if most of you folks were here when it came before you before. There were a lot of people in this room.
I was out there.
So, we just were not taking any chances. We wanted to make sure that you saw any possible changes to the architecture, and if those are made. You've obviously seen what they're proposing, so. I don't see a big difference, but it's up to you.
And before we go, does anybody in the audience like to speak? Ask any questions? Okay, I got a question for you. We're
Sure.
putting off of this one, right?
That's the previous approval?
That's January 4th and 24th.
Yeah.
January 4th of '24. That's the approval for previous. You're not going off the, I mean, that's still valid and
'Cause
does
I
not
don't have
change.
anything else to go with it.
What?
I don't have anything else to go with it.
Wait a minute, for a motion?
There's no motion sheet.
Oh, there is no,
Yeah,
we're
so,
not doing any recommendation. Yeah, this is a little different for me.
the only thing that I have is, we have, again, that last sentence in the memo, at a minimum, approval of the revised Hartford Mall Phase 2 architecture's condition of provision of material samples, which they have, to utilize during building permit and construction. That's all I've got. If you want to add to that, you can. There's no requirement to, you're not reapproving a site plan. You're not those are all valid and do not change. You're just approving the architecture and that's it. Approving a change to the architecture.
Do we need to include a reference to these February 16 elevations, since they're new, or?
You can if you want. I mean, those have already been submitted and they're of
Okay.
reference and they're in our records.
Gotcha.
Okay, then I guess I'm gonna ask for
Mr.
a
Chairman,
motion.
I'd make a motion that we allow the changes to Phase 2 as submitted tonight, and that the building materials that were displayed tonight to the Planning Commission be the material of record. However, absent the timing of procuring the material, if there's, needs to be a change in colors, and when I say colors, minor colors, like a hue or something like that is okay, but anything other than what's been submitted tonight would need to come back before staff and/or the Planning Commission as seen.
As determined by the
as
zoning
determined.
administrator.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call. Jeff?
Aye.
Pete?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
Jimmy is an aye. Thank you. Thank you, congratulations.
Thank you. We're proud to have Mr. Coates' final motion. Thank you.
They were an aye.
Mr. Chair, I have one minor thing before we adjourn tonight.
ma'am.
First of all, I want to publicly thank Kevin Small for his years of service to the town since May.
Well, I think I can count on one hand the amount of times
That's the first
happened.
time you got a standing ovation at a planning commission meeting. Thank you, guys, I appreciate it. So since May of 2023, it has been my honor and my privilege to work with Kevin Small as director. I never thought when I took this job I would have this much work with Kevin Small, but it's been an honor. Thank you again, Kevin. One minor administrative thing. The town was not planning on holding a planning commission meeting next month. We're actively searching for replacement. However, something has come up that is being potentially introduced before the Board of Town Commissioners ordinance concerning the development regulations next week. So we do not want to hold up that process. So if we do call a meeting, you might hear from either Kathy or Ricard to schedule that. It will be very brief, just to review that ordinance We're going to kind of try to hold tight. I don't know if anything's come in.
It hasn't.
Okay. We're hoping that it the planning department will become a little quiet. But I'm still to help the staff during the transition. So it's just legislation that would be coming before you. So I just want to let you know that for next month. And thank you again, Don, for all your years of service to the town.
I appreciate it.
We will miss you.
Yeah, I may stop back if I have a
Please
Thursday
do.
night to kill.
Sit on the outside.
Yeah, I'll be sitting out there.
Probably won't be in April.
No, it won't be in April, I can tell you. I'll
I
take
do-
that one.
I do have one thing just real quick, because this is my last public hearing. I do want to thank two people. One is Charlie Keenan, the late Charlie Keenan. I think he is someone who has affected how I provide comment to you. And Chris Schlaer, the person who I dealt with as a town administrator when I first came in. Those two people helped out a ton. And it was, and of course, they also had folks who followed them who did such a great job, like Liz, after Charlie passed the torch, and then folks like Jim Fielder and Jesse Bain and Eddie Hopkins. Those folks really have kept the town on a very even keel and have provided a much-needed stability that you don't see in other municipalities, especially nearby municipalities. I think that we're much more stable and much more, have a much better idea of where we're going and where we've been. So, and I also want to thank the Planning Commission, both present members and past members, because it made my job a lot easier. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
I only want to say one thing. 30 years seems like yesterday, but Phase 2 was an interesting meeting because everybody thinks that you can come in and you don't like something and it will pass. Well, that's not the case. If the zoning laws and if the code's such, it can happen. But I remember, saying to one lady that, that they're allowed to do it, and I remember her comment saying, well, what are we even doing here? Well, that's a valid point, but, when somebody says there's a minimum setback of 15 feet, that's the minimum. But, in Phase 2s, if we wanted 25 feet, we could have asked for it and gotten it. But we didn't need to do that. My point being is, there's one thing that I'm proud of in the town of Bel Air, and that's McDonald's. Because I remember seriously, when McDonald's was here, they wanted to have the back of the store as a brick thing, and I forced them to put the glass in there because I think that anything that faces a major road needs to have a storefront. And I remember the guy for McDonald's saying, well, people will be confused, people will think it's the entrance. I said, look, you can block the wall, put glass in, make it translucent, but I think it needs to have glass. And I look at the folks at AutoZone, and they have glass, and I don't understand why they
Didn't do as well there, did we?
well, no, but I don't understand why they've never used it to promote their business.
Yeah.
It's just a glass front. So my point being is,
And I hate that glass.
my point being is that the planning commission has to follow the code, has to follow the rules, but there's certain latitudes that we can enforce. And I would just let my fellow commissioners remember that there's certain things that you can do. So anyway, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, I think it's been Town of Bel Air's pleasure to have you on the committee.
That's
Yeah.
all.
I'd like to say Don and Kevin, and we're losing a lot of experience here that has shaped this town over the last 3 or 4 decades, and it's a loss. It's going to be a loss for us, okay? But I hope you're not going to be far.
No.
Still talk invoke your wisdom and all on us, but I appreciate everything you've done over the decades, and I wish it wasn't coming to an end, but, you know, times change, and, you know.
Steve, you've added, whatever process you're using, you've added 2 really good members here in
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, I
last
mean-
year, so just keep doing what you're doing. You got a few
Well,
more to-
I was gonna talk to you two afterwards, because
Well, I
I've
mean-
already talked to these
Well,
two
you know,
about it.
when Jeff's looking at stuff for elevation, I mean, every now and then I can pick up elevations and stuff, but that's not my forte. And he's picking that stuff up, so I mean, I think the planning commission is in good hands with those.
Tom knows
with
he's
those
gonna have
type of issues.
a challenge here coming up.
And Jimmy's the same way. He knows where his grease traps are and where the Knox boxes are. And, I mean, again, you guys will do it. I mean, I came in as a novice. Right. Yeah, I came in as a novice, and, you know, I gained a lot of stuff over the years, so. Anyway, thanks a lot. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
We're done?
I'm-
Anything on the project?
Anybody want to talk about the project? Any questions about the project? I saw a date on there that I think is still wrong on the top column. It's on, let's see, where is it? I highlighted it, the top one.
Get that cleaned up before you retire.
Yeah, I'll take care of that.
It went right to the top of the
I don't know if it's wrong, it appears to be wrong, in my humble opinion, but.
Well, because it's under construction, the expiration date doesn't apply. So I'm gonna tell Kathy to take that off.
Okay.
So, my other question is, so how long under construction does it last before it's not under construction?
Actually, it should just be removed from this list, because it's not. There's nothing that, there's no due date for it anymore.
Second.
Roll call? Everybody? Adjourned? Aye.